After the weekend I've had, I really do need a bit of a spiritual cleansing, which is good that we're talking about this today.
There it is. You've been spending too much time with the...
Cult of ecstasy and the Fianna.
Cult of ecstasy.
Mostly Fianna.
So,
a lot of Fianna.
So here we are. He's making noise in the microphone. I'm trying to enjoy the voice of God that we've got going on in the background.
Yes.
Ave
Christus Rex. Deus ist Rex.
There it is. He's got his Celestial Chorus character going on for this episode. Rapred's been asking to be a part of this Celestial Chorus episode for a while, so he gets a seat, and so does Storyteller.
When I saw that Celestial Chorus will be, I admit, 3 seconds after the announcing of the episodes, I'm like, bro, let me in. But then a week before, Storyteller said, "Oh, can I join?" And I, as a big brother of the server, said, "Sure."
Yeah, sorry, I saw I had Sunday off, so I figured, all right, let's do this.
And on top of that, I don't want to overload with guests, because if we have everybody on all the time, you become like a regular member. It's no longer really special if you're a guest in that case. And Greed was going to be a part of this, but now he's in retail, so he doesn't
retail
have
sucks. Don't work retail.
Yeah, I work retail. I know the struggle.
There it is. Why did I
managed to escape retail, so hopefully you will find something that is not retail soon.
I'm feeling my jaw quiver already.
You're what?
Okay.
There's a scene in Shin Megami Tensei Strange Journey, the remake they did, that the new law ending. It is this absolutely beautiful scene, dude. Like, this is... Wow. I'm actually tearing up about this, dude. It's like what I imagine what it'll look like you enter the Kingdom of Heaven. It's such a beautiful scene, dude. Like, it's... it gives you life and inspiration seeing that kind of stuff. Seeing, like, everything that you suffer on Earth, man. There's, like, life and, like, a place for you that's bigger than some of your parts waiting for you. And it just... And I've had just a lot of stuff, because I told you I found God when I was 20 after I was in a really dark place. And, like, just hearing this, it brings me back to that point where I decided that, yes, there is a God, and yes, there's something I want in my life to be, besides just hating other people and hating the world I want to be a part of. And I've just made so many new friends, made so many right decisions, went in the right place, because I decided that, yes, I want to believe in this. And if it came to Mage Ascension, if we were like to gamify the faith, that, yes, this is something that I would be a part of without a doubt in my mind. Because if there's any idea of Mage Ascension out there that I'm going to say is the objectively right idea, it is this episode of Celestial Chorus. Where you look at World of Darkness, like the old World of Darkness, and this game is actually really Christian when you think about it.
Yeah.
Because I like Cain and Abel are in the lore. Like, yeah, big surprise, but then Demon the Fallen comes out and says, nope, the God's real, here's the Son of God, here's Hunter of the Reckoning, which is an absolutely beautiful story. And Hunter of the Reckoning is always going to be probably my favorite story in the World of Darkness. But the Celestial Chorus won't, so Hunter of the Reckoning could really run. And a lot of ideas that I feel like really took off and really had a place in Hunter of the Reckoning got their start in part because of Celestial Chorus. And if I'm going to talk about probably some of the best fiction in terms of like art reflecting reality, like the sad but true reality, it probably is the Celestial Chorus, because the whole takeaway with the Celestial Chorus is that this was a group of people that knew how the world worked and had the answers and had the power to make life better for everyone. And they squandered every chance they had. And now the world is a much worse place because of them. Because not only did they fail to save the world from the Nefandi, but their actions created that technocracy. And now they're losing the Ascension War because of that. And they probably will lose the Ascension War due to their own actions. So, when you look at groups to blame for why is the World of Darkness so dark, it is them. It's part of their fault. Like, them and the Order of Hermes, it is their fault why Mage is such a bleak setting when you really get down to brass tacks and look at the lore.
And except for that big old eldritch abomination that is the worm. I'm pretty sure he has something to do with this too.
Yeah, the worm, but
Yeah,
you know,
and
if
free will is a little, a little bit.
and if the Celestial Course were as good as they said they were, we wouldn't have to worry about the Weaver, the Worm, or even the Wild anymore, in case the Wild isn't the god that we think he is. And I'll get into like a bit about it later, but yeah, this means something to me. Like the Verbena, like I looked at that and said, if you believe in this, you're actually fucking insane. Like I can't get behind any idea about in the Verbena book, but this means something to me. And I'm gonna sound like an ass saying, "Oh, I don't respect the ideas of the Verbena book." I do respect the ideas in this book. So you know what? You can point fingers at me all I want, but this is something that I am genuinely passionate about, and I really want to get into discussing this one. And it feels like the Celestial Chorus, the people on YouTube that have talked about Celestial Chorus, I don't feel like it's not what you're saying is wrong, but it's more like who's saying it, because like I know from the way you talk about it, you come from a place where you don't really believe in the words we're talking about. If that
Very much
makes
an
any sense at
outsider's
all.
perspective as far as like the ideas on faith and how they are portrayed in the lore universe, as well as the impact that they have culturally on not just the setting but our world as we know it. I mean, like we would not have my English teacher in high school once told me that even if you don't believe in God, even if you don't believe in the tenets of Christianity, the Bible is one of the greatest works of Western literature ever devised. And it teaches us so much,
Huh?
even if it... What?
What do you mean Western?
Okay.
It's from Middle East.
Yeah, I don't know why I said Western literature. One of the greatest works of literature ever devised. Just because of how much it teaches us about not only about human nature, but of the world thousands of years ago.
And you don't necessarily need to be a believer to get something to value out of these stories, because most of these do draw from human experience and wisdom at the end of the day. Where, like the story of Cain and Abel, I'll get more into detail about that when we cover the Book of Nod episode, when we get into that. But there's so much stuff in that is just wise. Well, like take the story of Genesis, where the book begins off, "Let there be light," and like God created an expanse. He called it heaven. He created the rest. He called it earth. Where the act of giving something a name brings it into order. Where Kyle, what if we had a wooden base that had 4 legs and it stood, and that's all it did?
Oh, like a table?
Then we call it a table. And now the nature of that wood changes, because now we've assigned a name to it. Now we're going to assign a purpose based on that name to that property. Where this is where we get into, say, Mage Ascension and changing to dreaming with naming as a spell. Where just giving something a name gives it purpose and value. Where what if heaven never had a name, and we won't really have the same kind of reverence to it? It'll be, oh, this enigmatic sky plane that we'll see when we die. But no, calling it heaven gives it weight.
Yes.
Is what I mean.
Yeah,
So,
it's not super sky, it's heaven.
It is. And how the world was made, I think I'm just going to go ahead and I'm just going to read what is in first edition verbatim. Celestial Chorus, second edition, it's good, but the first edition is better because you wrote this book as if it was the Bible or the Torah. You versed it and everything. And
it's the first edition. You don't make correction on it. That's how it is.
The first edition, no, the first edition was perfect the way it was. You didn't need to make any sort of adjustment to it.
Stefkes.
Yeah. It's like a 10 of first edition. It's like Shellord's first edition. We really did not need a second edition. This is perfect the way it is. Alright. So this is the church segment of today's episode. You ready for this? Alright.
I think nobody will be more or less. Let's do this.
Alright. In the beginning was the One. They refer to God in this setting as she instead of he. That threw me through a loop when I first read this.
I mean, it's the one, so I think should be not genderfied, but sure.
What God is beyond our level of comprehension. We know he's a deity, but as a deity, you can take many forms as a deity.
And this kind of doesn't step on the toes of Verena with them believing that there was a almighty mother that created the world, so I guess it's fine. She was, from the time before all, but she was alone. She looked into the void, a cold, dark, silent place, and it came to pass that she desired light and sound. So the one sang, a single, perfect note, and it was good. Her note filled the emptiness of the void, giving it life. She sang again, and this note was good as well. And she sang once more, creating another note. She sang many different notes, pleased equally by the sound of them all. But it was not enough to produce single notes, so she sang 2 notes together, and then 3. Note by note her melody grew until finally she sang forth an entire song. Her singing filled the void. Where once was silence was now her music. Still there was darkness, and the all-singer was displeased. So she filled her song with fire and light, making it fervored, burning hymns, majestic and bright and pure. And the void was empty no more, filled instead with all things good and beautiful and true. Her song burning away the dark cold void, and the sun dispelled the morning chill. And that's how it begins. But still she desired companionship. So she sang again, giving life unto each note until she gave birth to the many, born into music and light. The one sang to them, and they learned that they too knew her song, that they were lesser reflections of her, faint, dim images still bearing within the seeds of her one song and her light. It came to pass that the many gathered, singing in concord the one song and radiating her splendor. They gathered in multitude of voices and sang together. While each was singing beautifully, together they were a magnificent harmony. Both the song and the light were lesser than the ones, yet still they were worthy. They sang, and they shone, and the one was pleased. They praised her in song, for she was their all, creator and composer. The first note in the first song, she was the all-singer. And the one created the many, and so did the many create. And as the many were lesser reflections of the one, so were the creations of the many even lesser reflections. Yet in all things, sorry about first correct, yet in all things, there still existed the spark of the one, and her song was the heartbeat of all creation. The many gave birth to the myriad of worlds, and to the lands and seas upon the worlds, and to the many creatures which inhabited them. Creatures that lived in air or water, on the land or beneath it, creatures which walked or crawled or flew or swam. And the one watched and listened and was content with the works of her children. For time immeasurable she sang to the many, and the many sang to her, and they sang together, with one as melody, and many grew as harmony, and all was good. But discontent crept into the hearts of the few, and they desired not to render the song to the one, but instead of their own. For some did so out of pride, and others because they were weak and easily swayed, but others out of malice and spite or anger. These rebellious few met and conspired to create their own song, even greater than the one, which cannot be. But they rose their voices and sang their own song, a harsh, raking noise like the shattering of rock, or the breaking of bone, lacking beauty, filled with power. Their dissonance grew, and where it filled the heavens, the one's light dimmed, and darkness reigned. And these nether regions were black and dismal, filled with a cacophony of sounds, a symphony of pain and hate and greed, and all things terrible. Where there was once harmony, was now discord. The one was displeased, and her song rose in anger. Her loyal children sang with her, and their combined song dwarfed the discord of the rebels, driving their voices into silence. But the one was merciful, and she forgave the rebels of their discontent, and offered them unto a chance to rejoin the celestial choirs which sang in harmony together with her. But the rebels smoldered in their pride, and were sullen in anger. And again they sang, a discord so loathsome that the faithful covered their ears and wept, while others fled in fear. Our mother's anger was terrible to behold. Her song rose again. Her voice shook the heavens and trembled underneath her might. The defiance against her. hoping against hope to overcome her song with their own dismal note. And the war shook the celestial firmament, with competing songs vying for dominance. And finally the one smote the malcontents, shattering them and exiling them for her presence. She banished them to to the world in all forms, the lesser realms of their own creation, that they might learn to grow and come to her song of their own desire. With them she sent those that wavered, these too had shattered, for they lacked the strength to support her song, and with them she sent the faithful who were to rend them asunder, that it might guide the banished, and protect them from the defiant who even still sought to usurp the one's glory. The many now a multitude, and the one silent once again. And there, behold, that's the whole creation story of Demon of Fallen right there.
So when was this released, and when was released Silmarillion?
1996 is when this book came out.
And Silmarillion went when?
That had been out for years.
Yeah.
Silmarillion releases 15th of September 1977.
Where Tolkien was a man that studied mythology, and like the books of the Bible is something that he studied, and his
with the whole sinning stuff, is like, I heard that before.
Where it's a tale of its time, and it's archetypical. It can be found in multiple places in multiple religions, and this is the reason why Lord of the Rings is such a strong story that resonates with so many people, because it comes from human experience.
Yeah.
So it's why it's fantastic, and why all these godless companies need to keep their hands off the property already.
It shows the true power of faith in an individual, because Tolkien did fight in World War I. He was, I think, at the Battle of the Somme, if I'm not mistaken. One of the longest and bloodiest wars of the First World War. It took both seeing man at its most desolate, its most depraved, the horrors of what man can do when driven to their primal nature to destroy each other, but at the same time also maintaining that level of faith granted to us by religion, that despite the hardships and horrors that we face, that we still believe that there is good in all men, that, despite what we may be coerced to do by the tongues of adders, by the doers of evil, that we still have a light within us that can drive us to do great things. And I think it was both those experiences and that faith that helped let Tolkien create such a brilliant world that resonated with generations of people for time immemorial.
Okay.
It also comes up, when I read this for the first time, I was thinking of Paradise Lost the entire time, where a lot of people think that Paradise Lost is the Bible by that point, because you talk to your average American about Christianity, and they know a lot of stuff they have is mistaken. Where, Satan is just it's just a Hebrew word meaning the adversary is what it is, and that Satan isn't necessarily this ultimate evil. It's more like the adversarial angel created by God that still serves God and sits with him in heaven. And isn't this ruler of hell that's waiting to seduce you and lure you in. That's heresy if you believe in that. But
it's like he rebelled against God.
Yeah.
And was cast down to earth as a snake. Then he fucked up as a snake, so he put him in the hole, and from that hole he sometimes grows, and makes people sin. That's the general consensus.
And with I'll get back into Lucifer's story with the Luciferian episode when we finally get around to doing it. But it's the intellect that falls in love with itself, where you claim that your own ideas are more impressive and worthy of praise than God's own ideas. That nobody appreciates just what a genius I am, and so I'm going to let the entire world know just how smart and brilliant I am by force. Is the whole idea behind Paradise Lost.
The self-pride, baby.
That's what it is.
Self-worship.
And I don't believe in this idea of an ultimate evil, but I do believe that, say, an idea that I have is demons of human origin. Like, demons are a thing, but you create them yourself, and you let these ideas and emotions possess you to the point that it drives you to evil. It's almost like a Faustian bargain you make with yourself and the dark aspects of your mind. that leads you to a path where you deny the divinity of Jesus Christ and the existence of God.
So you mean like, so seven deadly sins are within all of us,
I
and
don't
we using
because
our free will, we choose to do so.
yes, because I don't believe in ultimate evil. I believe that all evil stems from the human spirit. And because if it's an ultimate evil doing it, it takes responsibility away from the evil that you've done and places it on some sort of scapegoat.
I mean, it's kinda,
Yeah.
it's origin
Like-
like it comes from that, but also you choosing to do so. It's not like, it's actively making you like, "Oh, do this," and you're like, oh no, I now have to do this because the biggest evil now saying to do so, and not like choosing it because you still have a free will to choose between committing a fucking murder perhaps and walking away.
Because this is what I mean with the story of the tree of Eden. Why did God put the tree of the fruit of knowledge in the Garden of Eden and say not eat it? Well, it's because God's love doesn't mean anything if you can't refuse it. Where a game isn't worth playing if you always win, you need a chance to lose it. You need a chance to reject the love in order for the love to mean anything. Which is where that story comes from.
Without free will, we couldn't comprehend the love of God to us.
Because at any point, if you want to go with this idea of this, say that Puritan fundamentalist idea, sinners over the pit of an angry fire at the hands of an angry God, that God Himself could have made the world a dollhouse at any point, and we couldn't. We didn't have to think. We didn't have to be free thinking people that made our own decisions and decide what was valuable for ourselves.
Yeah.
That this is what.
Remember Flood, guys? He
Yeah.
can do this anytime he wants. But he chooses not to because he loves us and wants us to see, to spread love amongst ourselves, to respect one another, and to just be chill people.
And the reason, the reason why this isn't some sort of like angry God is that this is a guy that gives a lot of second chances. Where you look at the story, where like the story of Jonah, right? You can leave the whale aspect out entirely. That's just mythological point. You don't take the whale part seriously. But with the whole aspect of Jonah saying, "Well, why isn't God smiting Nineveh after I gave the message to them?" Well, maybe God loves everybody, not just a select few handful of people. Where anybody and everybody can step up for a second chance here. It's not like a select few people get to partake in this. This is a faith and idea and belief system that invites everyone to take a part of it. Nobody gets locked out of it.
He has his favorite people, don't get me wrong, he has his favorite child, but still he loves us equally.
Where you go into this, and the whole aspect and an objective of the faith is that you have all the stuff on the planet. You're supposed to abstain and rise above it, deciding that you don't need to be attached to this. You don't need this to survive. That leads to you ascending. Is the whole idea of the faith. But it's just a lot of stuff that people don't really recognize because, like, Christianity, like, is there a culture war going on with, like, the faith losing? Yes. It's only because you have too many bad apples spoiling the whole bunch in the churches themselves.
Yes.
Where
Very
Though,
much
to be
so.
fair, those bad apples aren't exactly small.
it's
Yeah.
anytime I hear somebody who hates Christianity, who hates Judaism, who hates these religions, it's because they got scorned by somebody in particular that made them think that everybody of that faith was like that. When no, that's not the case.
Yeah, I mean, guys, remember, what was this? Summer camps for the gay children in America?
Oh, the
They
gay
were
conversion
sent?
camps?
Yeah,
Or
like
that,
as a
and
Christian, you send your gay child to one of those camps, and they completely like destroy your fucking children, like mentality, psyche.
That's how you get normalites.
Exactly,
Yeah.
like in the normal 8 episodes. It's like, how to say it? Hmm. My
One,
as a person, my take on LGBT community is like, do what you want. I don't care. You have a free will. But from the Christian perspective, if it's really the sin, let the God decides on their final judgment day. That's it.
exactly.
Because who judges will be judged, and you will be judged harder because you're committing the sin of wrath.
And
Yeah.
I want to go over like with all four of us at the table. We do believe in like the existence of God, right?
Yes.
I mean, me personally, Holy Trinity, baby.
And there it is. Storyteller, you got an idea?
I believe that there is an almighty creator, but I think the truth of the matter has been so obfuscated from centuries, millennia of people using these teachings to push their own agendas, their own beliefs, their own worldviews. That's probably why we have several iterations of Christianity and Catholicism.
So a deist is what I can define you as.
I don't know
Where-
what that is, but sure.
Is that
Deus or agnostic depends.
deist is that a God exists, but his form is obfuscated, and he's so great and alien in nature that you can't truly understand what form he takes.
Well, I guess I know what I'm Googling after this episode.
that does make sense. But I will say this does bring up something that I always like to bring up is when they say, "Thou shalt not use the Lord's name in vain." It's not just using the name God in casual conversation. It's using the word of God, using the word of God to further your own selfish gains. It's using something for good for the purpose of evil. That is the sin.
And that's the first commandment, guys. Don't
Exactly.
break it.
Yeah, I've mentioned before the argument that Saint Thomas Aquinas made, where existence could not have made itself. There had to have been something that got the ball rolling. Where the Big Bang, like all this matter exists in one place. Well, where did the matter come from? And what set off that matter to create the universe in the first place? You expect me to believe that this stuff just existed, and you can't explain to me where that stuff came from. And same thing with like logic and reasoning, where deciding what's right and wrong, what your consciousness is supposed to be, what stands for truth. Like I said before with the argument, if you had a computer that was not connected to the internet and just generated information on its own without using anything as reference, would you take its word seriously? And if you say no, then your own atheism betrays you, because you can't tell me my mind tells me what's real, because truth does not come from within one person. It's a shared consensus amongst multiple people. That's what's considered to be the truth.
Yeah, simply this episode will turn you Christian or anything religious.
Should I put that in the description?
That was a trap. We're gonna make you Christian.
We're dropping the Christ pill here.
But
and I got
whatever.
The Christus Rex, bitch.
And I've got a design argument for you too, because do we really understand how the brain works? Do we understand how DNA works? The laws of physics are supposed to work?
There's many papers on it.
Well, I mean, to be fair, science is theory, and theory constantly changes the more information we garner. So what we believe is factual today may not always be true.
Because we have all this information, but remember, for a while we believed that it was impossible for babies to feel pain because of allegedly their neurological development. So it would just perform surgery on them without anesthetic.
Everybody knows that you can do that.
Yeah. And we still don't really we still are learning stuff about the brain and about the human body. We're still making discoveries about this stuff. Like even when it comes to like Jim Mediker's on my mind about this. He's still alive as of recording this episode, where he has a type of leukemia where the doctors themselves don't know what's wrong with him or how to treat him. Like this, our own minds still are struggling to understand fundamental, universal, natural law. And that law had to be created by something that is beyond our own understanding.
Yeah.
And
in VOD, that's technocracy, guys.
Yeah, the universe is just too complex for you to tell me that this all came randomly. This had to have been designed by something. So that's where I stand in terms of my own personal beliefs, where I got, like I said, I found God for, because I was a Bible baby, but I didn't really believe in what the Sunday school teachers or the pastors were telling me, because I don't think they were very good at their jobs. But I came to a conclusion on my own when I was 20 years old. And
Excuse me, you were battle baby?
Where I'm born in the second part of the United
baby.
States. Of course I went to church. Yeah.
Battle baby like battle beast?
Bible
Nope.
baby. Bible, for God's sake.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
The church is conscripting battle babies? That's hardcore.
There it is. This is,
Hell, I'd
this is
go to
our
watch
new
that.
80s
Oh
property.
my god! I now remember
But you must see people to make couch
Give like two
kids.
kids a little
Costa
foam
story
axe and a foam shield. It'd be
about
great.
Child's Crusade. Oh my god!
All right. Let's see. Let's pick up this book again. I'm going to paraphrase this part though, just to conserve on time. All right.
Please show
The first stage. After the demons were cast into the abyss, and the angels that stayed behind to monitor them stayed on Earth and were kept out of heaven in order to patrol that they won't return. You had that time known that time was known as the Shattering. And after the Shattering, we started to quantify and measure time itself. We had people in the world that knew of the One, still followed them. We had figures like Enoch, Mitras, Gundar, Bhishma, others of the people that knew that the One was real and followed them. But you had rebels against this time that went against these ideas and the laws that were created by the people that believed in the One. And then those rebels became skeptics that began to wonder whether or not the God was real to begin with. And then those people became the Dark Singers, where in their own ignorance and questioning, they were turned towards dark powers. Those same powers being the demons that were cast into the abyss, that somehow escaped or were never cast into the abyss at all and became known as the Earthbound. That began to whisper into the ears of these people and turn them into first the Bali, second the Nafandi. Thus begins the Ascension War. The ultimate battle between good and evil, deciding the fate of the universe depending on which side has the most men and who's the last man standing. To summarize the first stage for you. Storyteller, what can you tell us about the Nafandi?
Well, I want you to take the most heinous, most obscene person you can possibly imagine, and then multiply that by cancer.
Where you
How
have
do you
three
multiply by cancer? What the fuck?
Yeah, there is. It's this growth. It just keeps growing in evil. Where if you don't think it can get worse, it gets worse.
Yeah, these are the kind of people that would make the Zamiti go, dude, you gotta chill the fuck out, all right? We're like at 7. You got it at 11. You gotta bring that down.
I'm gonna rephrase it. Bali is the only enemy in Vampire the Masquerade that, when they appear, every clan joins together to kill them. Every clan, no matter the sect, no matter where you are, I don't know, Zimitsi, Ventru, Toriader, Malkavian, Gangrel, whatever. They all join up to gang on those fuckers.
Yeah, and
when
that's
you
what the Nafandi is.
And
you look at the Nafandi too, and they're broken up
translated
into
mage when they have true magic and they can walk, during the day.
and
That's
then
not a good sign.
and then a lot of their stuff they do too is kept in shadows because almost all their magic is vulgar. All of it will set off paradox, but they don't do it out in public. They do it to other mages.
Yes, but remember, it's the first age. They can do this randomly everywhere right now.
So this was when the Nafandi were technically at the height of their power.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
And you have 3 different factions of them. The Infernalists are what makes up the ranks of the Nafandi during this time. You did have Malfians, and you did have the Kalasha, where the Kalasha, to explain them, they believe that there's these other beings out there that are similar to the One, that are just as old or older than the One, that are reverse ones, where they're these almighty forces of evil that will give them power if they venerate them. And
Basically,
the only objective behind them is destruction.
Basically,
simply,
Cthulhu.
Simply they thought to themselves, the One has to came from somewhere, and the One chose to create, but the others chose not to.
And they found that entity, and his name is either Nyarlathotep, Azathoth, Yog-Sothoth, Cthulhu, Cthulhu, Shub-Niggurath, however you want to go about it.
Oh,
and
no,
Mr.
we're going
King
to get
of Yellow.
demonetized.
What's Lovecraft's cat's name?
I don't know. What was it called?
No.
I believe his name was...
His name was Danny G. Gurman.
Okay.
No, I think we're skirting the line here. Oh, maybe we can't do that. And you were getting on me earlier.
Okay, let's back
There,
up
there it is.
immediately
We're not going to go
and
too
go
far
back
out
to
there.
episode. Let's go back to episode.
All right.
Uh,
So
First age
now,
is him.
all right, the second age. All right.
Boom.
What can you tell me about Moses, Kyle?
Moses, the figure of the Bible, he was the main character of the story of Exodus, in which he was. I remember I watched the fuck out of the Ten Commandments as a kid.
Bro,
So,
he
what-
was the main character of Prince of Egypt.
Yeah, the
Prince of
story.
Egypt.
Yeah, the Bible story
Awesome.
of
One
the
of the
Exodus, where he
best
led
animation.
he led the Hebrews out of bondage from Egypt to the Promised Land.
Yeah, the best animation film ever.
He delivered. It is a phenomenal film, and
that Matt,
also delivered
Jeffrey
the Ten
Katzenberg
Commandments unto man.
Quit working for Disney just to make that movie.
Yeah.
It is. And then, what was that? Who voiced Moses in that movie? Was it Val Kilmer?
I don't know.
Bro, you
Hang
can
on.
check it
It
out. We have
was.
internet.
Oh,
Yes.
shit. How about that?
Yeah, and I love the movie just cuts before the brass ox.
It
It
is.
just perfectly
It
hard
does.
cuts.
But
Well,
there's
that,
there
that
is
was
the
a movie
also,
that never got around to making.
there is also like the oh god, what was there was the Ten Commandments movie. I don't remember who starred in that one. Like my family watches that every Passover.
I don't know, but I can say that there will be. I don't know if it's on YouTube or not. It's like The Office or this type of sitcom characters, but but the place it's taken place is on the journey of Jewish people.
The 40 days of
Yeah,
40 years of
yeah,
walking through a
and I
desert.
and I saw the clip like one of the I think Egyptians.
Mm.
They crossed with the Jews, but they were alone because the rest of his bodies, went down the sea. So he take off his armor and just start walking with the Jews. And it's like it's not that bad.
It's-
And
Yeah.
the other guy's like, I know everybody here is part of my family. I don't know this guy. Something's fishy here.
the story of Moses happens in the world of darkness, and the Egyptians lose their Hebrew slaves. Okay, well, I guess Egypt is just going to collapse. No, Egypt is still around. So during this time, we have one Amenhotep IV come into power, and he says, I think the idea of polytheism is stupid. We're going to only have one god. His name is Aten, and that's what his name is. And a bunch of other people, like Proto-Verbena, or specifically the Setites, were like, hey, yo, bro, what do you think you're doing? And they can't do anything to him because he's the pharaoh, and if he dies, you're going to cause a whole bunch of chaos. You have to wait for this guy to kick the bucket. But this guy called Mentuhotep was around, saw what Amenhotep was doing, and he walked over there and he said, hey, this monotheistic sun god, here, let me help you out with this idea. And so he's over there, he's the high priest of Egypt, going around pushing for the worship of Aten, when what he's doing is that he's modifying the worship of Aten to be worship of the One, is what he's doing. And he's doing well, the Setites are going around saying, all right, we gotta kill this guy, we can't live in a world where we got this guy pushing for this monotheistic shit, we gotta go, like, set forever, baby. Hey, where'd he go? He's gone. He walked out, he's now out in the wilderness, fasting for 40 days. Where Mentuhotep, I'll just call him Mentu for short, is out fasting for 40 days, and on day 40, the light appears before him, and the One returns. The One comes back down to earth and says, Mentuhotep, I have a task for you. You need to go, and you can't just worship me by yourself. There are other people out there that have the same level of power as you, that believe in the One, that believe in me as well. You need to go out, and you need to find them, and gather them all into one place and create a unified choir in my name. End of message. She flies back, and Mentuhotep is blind. But he says to himself, it doesn't matter, we've got others, I'm a wizard, I can find my way back to Egypt, it's fine. He walks all the way back, he goes back to Amenhotep, and he says, hey, I got this great idea, we need to build a city, and we're going to call it Akhenaten is what the name of the city will be. And put out the horn and say, everyone that wants to worship Aten is going to go gather here. And it worked, where Mentu goes over to the city, and all of a sudden, if you build it, they will come. All these other mages of the Celestial Chorus scattered in one space, and he said, fantastic. Okay, listen here, everybody. I got a message from the One. If you want to doubt my credibility, look at the burned out sockets where my eyes used to be. This is how I know it's real. And we need to gather together, and we need to create a Celestial Chorus for the worship of the One. And
Say that again?
yeah, we need to create a Celestial Chorus to worship the One.
He said the thing.
Now
There it is.
roll the credits. Show the title card.
Okay, title card. Good night, everybody. No, I'm just kidding.
And there it is. It's like
I love this. There's
it's like the
plagues.
first 2 minutes of Invincible.
Yeah, I also love like there were 7 plagues on the Egypt, and, and it's like the pharaoh said like, okay, we have to have one god right now, and Set is like, bro, what are you saying? We have to venerate Set.
I'm
7
sorry. Did you
plagues, dude.
did
7
you
plagues.
did you forget about the plagues of Egypt that killed all of our firstborns?
Yeah.
Yeah,
And they said they like, yeah.
that goes to show how deeply the lies of Set will spread.
Well, that's why Set
people
sucks
were-
in the world of darkness.
There it is.
Either
but I
people
wish-
were really, really stupid, or Set was just that peak at lying.
I'm telling you, presence
no,
is a motherfucker.
Set's
on the guy.
100% that good at lying.
I mean,
He
bro,
is. Yeah.
Imagine being the vampire and the Nile
Yeah.
river turns to blood. It's like free Vita, bro.
There it is. Oh, behold, infinite vitae. Just stick my head in there.
Yeah, whoa.
Yeah.
You just have
Nice,
these
nice.
parents lamenting their firstborn corpses, like, "Oh God, why would you do? Who did this?" But Set comes, he's like, "That's fake and gay. He's not really dead. You've been lied to. Read the pamphlet, son."
Hey, look,
Behold,
I'm
let me
sorry that your
embrace your
son died and
infant
everything.
child. Now we have the baby vampire.
Hey, look, I'm sorry your son died and everything, but just let you know, we have this great party coming up where you could do a lot of sin and debauchery if you come on down to my
We
pyramid.
could throw him in the snake pit and sacrifice him to Set.
Yeah, put him in the snake pit. Have yourself a glass of wine, a little bit of cocaine. Come help me defile my son's corpse.
Wait, what?
I'm gonna say this: the snakes were needed after the frog raid.
Well, actually,
to eat all
yes.
the frogs. Yes.
That's probably how Sick got his
think-
favor back, because he was like, "Oh, I see we got a big frog problem here. You know what? I got snakes, baby."
Yeah, that's how said that.
He went from a snake coil salesman to just a snake salesman.
There it is.
Yeah.
And everything is good. Mentu's got his he's got this place, but what's the place called? We're going to call it an adytum, which is just their word for chantry. Like, we know our mage vocabulary, we know what a chantry is. That's just what they call their chantries. We're going to call them chantries for the rest of this episode just for the sake of avoiding confusion. And it was good until the Nefandi destroyed it. Oh, great.
Taylor's all this time.
Usual, they hate fun. Don't be an Nefandi.
And then the Solstice Course said, wait, hold a minute. The Umbra. So they stepped sideways and went into the Umbra and then built the temple there. And now the Nefandi can't get it.
Wait a
Amazing.
Wait,
adorable.
how? I thought Nefandi have an advantage in the spirit sphere.
They do, but then you go over there and then the Banes won't leave you alone and then you get dragged into hell because the worm wants you for something.
Oh yeah. Imagine having infinite power with spirits, but spirits hate you.
Along with that, the Nefandi lifestyle, it doesn't last very long because you know all the worm taints, you get those.
Mm.
Yeah.
Then you
There it
become a
is.
Fomori mage, which sounds terrifying.
It
It
is.
is very
When you
strong,
become-
but they only last like 40 days before their bodies finally give out.
I can feel a disturbance in the force. Eden just got a fucking brain blast.
There it is.
Wait a minute. Aren't like you when you when mage becomes Femori that doesn't destroy their avatar? Like because
Oh, it
possession-
fucks your avatar up,
It
but you stop
does.
suffering paradox.
But whoa, but they still can have use magic. I feel like possession just
They can use up to like level 5, but like the archmage kind of stuff you can't use.
Oh yeah, that archmage stuff.
bro.
You
Up to
won't be
level
touched.
5, up to level 5. It's not that it's still powerful.
Like, you're powerful, but you still got backlash to your spells, and it's still vulgar magic. But you can't rewrite reality like a mage can at that level.
Bro, Ferrectoy, or Hollow Man, the Fandi, will be no joke.
Oh, well, we killed them in the last episode of Rich West Appalachia.
Yeah, I didn't build it
but-
very well.
They weren't have true magic.
uh,
Understand, bro? Mage with rage multiple turns of fireball.
That's
bro.
that's Grimm's children right there.
Where Kyle,
Yeah.
if we were to fight a mage in your game, it would be like fighting Satoru Gojo
You
in
could
Jujutsu
have.
Kaisen, where the man would have a spell on him where said, "I'm going to cast a spell on correspondence and entropy that will create an infinite amount of space between me and you. You can never touch me with your physical attacks."
You know,
And
you
this spell is
more
going
like
to
you
continue
could have done that,
forever until I turn it off.
but you let the hounds deal with that.
Here it is. That's what happens.
Fuckers. Let them die.
Eh, So faith continues to spread. We get into as we're now in the third age. We're now in the third age where Rome comes into play, and no, hold on, I'm bullshitting you. I'm bullshitting you. We're still in the second age. Never mind.
Ah,
So Rome is around. They killed Christ, but Christ was they think he was a member of Social Chorus, but the Social Chorusers themselves are saying no. This man was on another level. Like this man was bringing the dead back to life and wasn't suffering paradox from him. He was on another level. He's something else. And
I think King said that like when all the people of World of Darkness, the all supernaturals saw Jesus, like we don't know who that is. He's cool, he's chill, but we don't know who that is. But it's like I think Celestial Chorus was like little fanboys of him, but they couldn't show it because venerate one.
you bet. And they were there during his crucifixion.
Yeah, it's like, bro, stop doing that. I think few women weeping were Celestial Chorus women. I'm gonna say that.
I think the apostles were part of the Celestial Chorus.
I don't think so.
And they went
May-
to Rome.
Maybe
That-
Simon, who helped the cross. Maybe because he just wanted a little bit before he died.
They went into Rome, and so they split out from this point where some of these guys followed the Roman Empire. They said we're going to follow the crest killers into their home country and try to spread the ideas there. Some of them, it was a faction called the Sons of Abraham. That I wonder what they're going to turn into. Said
Wait a minute.
we're going to stay behind
So-
here. We're going to hold on to Israel. We're going to hold on to the land of milk and honey and make it our land. And then they're going to lose the land a few hundred years down the road. And then some other guys ran off into the Middle East and would become what would be known today as Islam. But that's another story for another day. We'll talk a little bit more about that when we cover the Batini.
So
But-
question
Oliver
is, does Saint Longinus becomes chorister or no?
Yes.
By the TLDR, this is the guy who pierced Jesus with a spear, and his blood, and he was the blind Roman soldier, who, when blood of the Christ poured into his eyes, he saw, and was like, "Oh my God, that's Son of God!" And then he become spreading love for Jesus. So he then later becomes the saint.
Yes.
You mean the Spear of Longinus?
Longinus,
You might think-
Saint
I'm thinking
Longinus.
something else.
Longinus, yes.
And
It-
then
it-
that's that Saul becoming Paul, and he wrote all the letters that made up the what's technically like the sequel to the four Gospels.
Yeah.
And that man had a lot to say, and then Peter said, "Well, I lived it, and you didn't live the kind of life I lived." And there was like a little like schism between the two, but it takes a little bit for Christianity to catch on in Rome because this was told to me when I was going to college, where with the Roman Empire, they're looking at the Jews and they said, okay, you're a group that's been here for years and years. If we try to stop you from worshiping your God that we don't think is real, you're going to freak out about it and try to rebel against us. And that's going to be this kind of worms that we don't want to open. But this Christian group is new, and because it's new, we can target it. And they got what's coming to them because these are people that have a ritual where they take bread and transmute it into the dead flesh of their martyr and then drink his blood. Yeah, we're going to kill you for doing that.
That's
Yeah.
hard fucking
It's-
core. What the hell?
It's not like the Roman
Bro.
pagans didn't have anything like that.
Yes.
I mean, it's just bread and wine, but it's like flesh and blood of
It's-
the Christ.
Well, there's some
Chill.
people out there that believe it's genuine transmutation that you're doing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now let's
I
go
mean-
sacrifice this ox to see the future. Let all these crazy Christians do their thing.
It's more civil when you do it to an animal.
I'm gonna say this: if you have 10 sheep, you sacrifice one to the god, so he doesn't get mad.
Yes.
Easy.
God needs to eat too,
And taking a look at
Yeah.
what else we've
Sure.
got. And along with that, by the 2nd century, you had these two groups, Christianity and Mithraism, competing. Mithraism being spread by Mithras, the Ventrue elder.
Yeah. It's no joke. They have literally faction called Son of Mithras. So
And
any other, you can clap your little hands because this goddamn Ventru.
Mithras is a Sigma male. I gotta credit where it's due.
Credit where
And
credit's due.
I mean,
and
he did good stuff, but still, it's like, okay, we get it. Ventrua, like main characters of the Vampire the Masquerade just show.
Yeah.
and in 312, one Emperor Constantine would come up and say, I got a dream and a vision from God. He's real. Christianity's real. We're legalizing Christianity. And boom, instantly the Christian sect of the Celestial Chorus said, we're right. You're wrong. You're out of here. And we know where it went from there, history.
Wait a minute.
And then he did the
Hebrews?
Fortnite dance.
Yeah.
See, the Hebrews had their Holy Land, but they're still in Israel, tending to what they had. But the largest empire in the world just gave us the okay to bring our religion in. We're going, oh, get out of here, Verbena. Get out of here, Dream Speakers. They came in, swept the board, and now we've got this massive power vacuum created by the Celestial Chorus that then gets sold by the Celestial Chorus.
Yeah.
Incredible. And we know what history looks like by this point, with coming to 4th century. What controlled the world during this time?
Money?
The church.
Oh, yeah.
This is where the Third Age begins, where from the 4th century to, they date 1325, the Christianity completely dominated the world. And it still did,
yeah.
but its power began to wane after 1325. And this is where the Celestial Chorus was at the height of their power. Because,
You mean the
for
Dark
example,
Ages?
with your Dark Ages game, you have Celestial Chorus mages going out into the street and casting their spells, and they don't get paradox. Why? Because the faith is so strong that people believe that, yes, indeed, you are a miracle killer. You just rub mud over that guy's eyes, he can see now. You prayed over that dead baby, the baby's alive again. You just caused a farm to become plentiful and bountiful again after it had been in a drought where nothing grew.
You just simply sing to the god to smite that fucker, and he is dead now.
You're casting demons out of people, you're curing the mentally ill, you're curing the lame, you're fixing broken feet and smashed hands. You can do all this. Meanwhile, the Verbena and the Dream Speakers, worst days of their lives.
Absolutely.
That's great. Can you
I
cure
mean,
vampirism?
Oh no, they cure it permanently. I'm gonna say this because there's something little called Inquisition, my guy.
And
But
and
yeah,
that's
already
where I'm
Dream
going with this.
Speakers weren't- I mean, Dream Speakers weren't that many in Europe. I mean, they still had their forces, but
You had the shamans. You had those people that were invoking spirits that were working with the Fianna back over in Ireland that were getting smoked by the church, and the Fianna had to get involved because you were killing their kinfolk.
I thought in the Ireland there were witches and berserkers.
That's what it is, yes. But you were still invoking spirits
We
into
were
your body, with,
worshipping
like,
the
illusion of
fucking
shamanism.
trees, and you killed loads of us.
And we have no records as to what these people were like because all those records have been destroyed.
I love Kyle interrupting as a Fianna. We just love trees, and as a chorister I would say Jesus died on a piece of wood. Fuck the trees.
It reminds me of the
Silence,
fucking.
heathen!
It reminds me of the fucking. Oh God, what was it? Brennan Lee Mulligan was on like that College Humor Next Levels thing where they were doing like improv comedy, and one of his cards was the ghost of St. Patrick's Days Past.
He's murdering pagans, Ebenezer Scrooge. He's making to Ireland right for the Lord.
That does have me thinking, like if Jesus was executed by a different mean, like say like the guillotine, would that become the holy symbol of Christianity?
Yeah, you kind of think about it for like 5 seconds, and you just think, wait, what?
You make the noose the holy symbol.
Yeah, I don't think that would go well. Well, maybe
It would.
maybe in the South, but certain parts of the South.
Jesus Christ.
Here it is. and but in this is where I want to bring up the Celestial Chorus, where the church grew to such a massive degree that they could do whatever they wanted when they wanted. It's if you were to be a king of a country, you had to get your approval through the church. They had to ordain you, is what they
Bro,
convinced all these other
yes,
European kingdoms to, to believe in.
every monarch was dictated by blood and by God to rule.
Yep.
If you didn't have one of these, you were a fucking liar and a tyrant.
And you would be disposed of, and the church would not send anything to prevent you from being disposed. They would
Yeah,
just
I
let it
mean,
happen. You would
I'm
lose
gonna
your
say
power.
this: when Roman Empire grew, many countries that were pagan changed into Christianity so they wouldn't be invaded by them. And
And this
imagine now, everyone is Christian, and you say, "I don't like that," and everyone gangs up on you.
this is what it was, because if your country was Christian, you would have money, you would have protection, you would have a unified people that would do what you say when you said it.
You, Johnny, you were in Czech, right?
Yes.
You were in Gutenberg.
Yep.
Is that how you pronounce it in English?
Yeah, they told me to take off my hat when I stepped in that building.
You were in church.
Yeah.
You take hat whenever church is.
It was like that scene from Alice in Wonderland. They went, off with your hat.
I mean, technically, you
Well, no,
have
it's like-
you have to. If you're not a woman, and it's not bread, you have to put up your hat down, no matter where you are in the world. Church is a holy place, brother.
There it
But
is.
going back to that, the king in if you know Kingdom Come Deliverance, the funny game from Czech Studio, Warhorse game, the game is directly after the king just simply blood dry Holy Roman Empire for money, and now his country is in debts, and country is now divided as fuck. So yeah,
This is what it is.
Holy Roman had money, but don't take it lightly.
And the church did a lot of good during this time because the place of learning was the church. Like, if you wanted to learn how to read and write, you went to the church. There were people out there that were making you deliberately ignorant just so they could hold power, because knowledge was power back in the day. But this is where you went to become a scholar, was in the church. The universities, that was the church. The printing press, that was in part used to print off copies of the Bible that were then distributed across the world for missionary work. Where
I mean, the first thing printed was the Bible.
And a lot of people used Christianity during this time as a force of good, but notice what the people in power were doing this for. Because this was being used for stuff like indulgences, simony. You had, instead of inheriting positions in the church or being appointed position, you bought your position in the church. And then you were automatically promoted to that position of bishop or cardinal. You had the
My
persecution
guy.
of heretics, where you're taking all these people, instead of forgiving them, which is what the social course wants to do today, you're putting them to death in deliberately painful ways after you tortured them, just for the sake of it, even after they confessed.
In
Where-
World of Darkness, the church was Celestial Chorus, but also La Sombra.
But the Sombra, you could have redeemed these guys, because you had the Sombra following the road of night instead of the path of night, where it took the same idea of the path of night, saying, the path of night says, you're a satanic angel put on this earth to cause destruction. The road of night said, you're a satanic angel that can shed that satanic title and become an angel of God instead. You have been given this dark evil power so you can understand the true depths of evil, know what it is, identify it, and then fight against it, was what the belief was. And there were
but-
plenty of Sombra around that time that held that belief, and if the Social Chorus was as good as they said they were, you could have saved Clan Sombra for themselves, and we could have had a universal good vampire clan that had the evil power of obtenebration and conquered it. And who knows what they could have done? They probably could have saved a Salubri and killed a Tremere if you managed to redeem them like that. But but-
my.
but no, you had the opportunity to save all these people from themselves, and instead you decide that you're only going to look after yourselves. Like, for example, the Crusades. instead of turning around and saying, "Oh, we've got the Get Offenders and the Fianna out there. Yeah, they fought against us, but we got Black Spiral dancers in the heart of Scotland going around corrupting people, turning people to mutants." Instead of fighting them, you're going to go into the Middle East and avenge Jerusalem, where you didn't give a shit about the Jews who lost their land. You were going in there deliberately trying to expand your empire and kill an enemy that you hated. Was the true intention behind the Crusades.
We wanted to take Holy Land from the hands of godless pagans? What do you mean?
Even though they believed in God themselves, and you were just killing these guys because they were a hidden enemy, and the Crusaders out there lost their fucking minds and started worshiping Baphomet while they were out there.
Yeah.
Oopsie doopsie.
Bro, you cannot be everywhere, everywhere, every time with, the perfect timing and perfect solutions.
And instead of becoming this force of forgiveness, where instead of helping people reach your idea of mass ascension, you instead punched down on everyone because you let the power of your position corrupt you and lead you away from what your mission was supposed to be.
Absolute power corrupts absolute.
And this is the whole thing that you see whenever it comes to religious institutions like this, because my mother taught Sunday school, and she would teach her kids in her class that there was, in the Old Testament, there seemed to be this triangle, this 3-point loop that would be throughout the entire Old Testament, where you'd have the Hebrews saying, "Oh, we love God, and God's the center of our lives, and we do all this stuff for God. Actually, I think we're doing okay. We don't really need God anymore. No, we're in deep trouble. We need God again. Okay, we're back to loving God again. Okay, we're back to not needing God again. Now we're back to really needing God again." It would just have this like 3-point circle that would go in through an entire loop. That's the entire book of Jeremiah is that. And now you're beginning to see this again with Social Course, but it was going to end on the whole idea of we don't need God again, because God was no longer the end goal. God was a tool being used by the church to flex power over those who didn't know what they were talking about.
Quoting Kyle, remember first commandment.
Yes.
That's what it was. Where you will not use God for your own power, and you will not try to dissuade the idea of what God is from the masses, which is exactly what Social Course did, which is what led to 12 Templar Knights forming a band together that were fighting against the forces of darkness for their own personal glory instead of the glory of God. And that those 12 Crusaders would then go off to form the Cabal of Pure Thought, which would then form the Order of Reason, which would then form the modern-day Technocracy.
Ah, god damn it! You took one
What
of
you
my
thought was a completely inconsequential group of 12 people, you let them slip through your fingers, and now they are your greatest adversary, and they're winning in the world of darkness.
Oh, bro, you took one of the few things you gave me to talk about this episode.
It's,
Rip.
He gives and he takes.
we can go back into detail about it with your segment, but
I remember back when we started this with the NWO episode, where Johnny, you said that the Order of Hermes was directly responsible for fucking everything up and creating
well, they
technocracy.
did discover that like Atlantis technology that did go on to inspire groups like the Artificers, but
Yeah, but also made sure to denote that the Celestial Chorus was just as responsible for that shit. It wasn't just the Order of Hermes. The Celestial Chorus have their own pound of flesh for that debacle.
yes.
I mean, technically, yes. I mean, bro, the Hermetics and Choristers, I think, I mean, I can be totally wrong because I don't know Mage, are like two most organized group of the not counting Dream
The
Speakers.
traditions. Yeah.
In traditions, organizations in traditions, like Celestial Chorus and Hermetics are like the most set, like most organized. They know their shit, right?
Yeah.
Or no?
You're absolutely
So,
correct.
So it's like, yeah, it's like big organizations. They thought they could do anything, and they bring their own downfall.
You're right. The Order of Hermes and the Celestial Chorus share a very similar order of pretty much circumstances. They got too big for their britches, they fell on their face, and they were humbled.
With the Order of Hermes, it was their failure to manage Tremere back when Tremere was a small threat.
Yeah, because
And then with the
Tremere is
Celestial Chorus,
always fucking everything up.
and then with Celestial Chorus, it was their own power going to their heads.
Yeah, imagine one house leaves and is like, We have 11 of those. We chill.
Yes.
Wait, they became vampires for Dimitri blood? Okay, maybe Dimitri will handle them. Dimitri didn't handle them. Oh fuck, they John Camarilla? Oh fuck, what's happening?
And the Order of Hermes still has failed to clean up that mess.
Yeah.
Yes.
Where,
Especially after, a week of nightmares.
That's Ravnos' fault.
and they did not make that mistake again when it came to House Janissary. They cleaned that mess up when they saw it coming.
Yeah. Hindsight's 2020 after all.
Because you weren't going to let what happened with Tremere happen with House Janissary. But with Solstice Chorus, we know where the story goes because we have history to go back on. You have the Great Schism, where you grew too big and your empire split into two. One side died by raiders, the other side died of a plague. And then when you finally formed back under a unified group again, you continued to become more and more corrupt until one Martin Luther posted his complaints on your door, and then you completely lost all of your credibility after you failed to come up with a convincing argument against his points. And then there you go. The Protestant Reformation comes in, and now we have the Fourth Era.
But the Pope.
There it is. The Pope. The Pope. Nobody's listening to a thing he has to say anymore. We're going to listen to this random guy from Germany who seems to know what he's saying more than the Pope does.
Because that always works out well.
Here it is. If you went from Smite Heresy, and you were so convinced with finding the lowest hanging fruit, you failed to look at the top of the tree at this massive apple that was about to fall off and crush your head in.
Yeah. By the way, guys, if you don't know how Polish I am, behind me is knitted image of John Paul II.
There you go.
I mean, I showed it to Kyle and Johnny one time before the game.
All I have is just a mounted image of the first Venom comic from 1982, signed by the creator.
That's hermetic right there.
Well, I mean,
Fucking heretic.
on my left, I have a gangster film Hall of Fame that's got The Sopranos, Scarface, The Godfather, Casino, Goodfellas, and on my right, I have the Rock and Roll Theater that has like cartoon portraits of all of the greatest rock and rollers throughout all of history.
Kyle has two sides, Gabagoo, and the other is I love rock and roll.
Yes. I'm a rock and roller, dude. It's what I do.
Rock and roll, Gabagoo.
And come the Fourth Era, you've got this guy called Valoran who comes in. And he says, hey, I think we're about to really lose the plot here. He comes in and he reconciles with the Hermetics and Verbena. And the Hermetics are willing to bury the hatchet and work with Celestial Course again. The Verbena say it, but we know in their hearts what the Verbena are going to do when they get the chance. But they come in 1461, and the Singers come to the Council of Nine and say, hey, we're coming here, we're branding ourselves. Now this is when they become formally known as Celestial Chorus, or the Croix Celeste, because French was their massive language during this time.
No,
and it would change to English with the British Empire taking over the world. The fucking French.
Don't destroy one of the best things I saw in Mage and tell it is French.
There it is.
It's fucking Roman Empire. It should be Italian.
They were
What
French.
are you doing?
Bonjour, I am the stereotypical Leicester Le Choresto.
It's what happens when you have a guy called Valoran come over and he's your representative. But
why not one of us?
But we know what history looks like by this point, because the Celestial Chorus, ever since the Protestant Reformation, has just lost ground ever since then. Where you're seeing it today, where less and less people are going to church because that you can't separate that corruption. Where after all, the Catholic Church got busted a whole 10 years ago for that fucking pedophile ring they were running.
Yeah.
And that's something that nobody of my generation is going to forget anytime soon.
Oh yeah, for sure.
And I see it in the South where I tried going to church where every fucking church you have down here, if it's non-denominational, that is a cult. Do not attend that church. They will try to lock you in and they'll do the exact same shit the Church of Scientology does to you. But I was going to a Catholic church for a while, but there's this weird black tar cloud hanging over the heads of everyone there where the mood there is just needlessly tense. The pastor, the priest didn't sound like he actually believed in what he was telling me. They had 3 collections a day, and then
That doesn't sound right.
yeah,
Wait, 3 collections a day.
like, and it wouldn't even be for a church. It'd be like, hey, here's a random guy who's come up with him, and he represents this this group, and he's asking for money. Instead of this guy starting a GoFundMe or Kickstarter.
Oh, I thought it's like 3 3 ceremonies a day. That's is normal.
Where no, like 3, like, it'll be 3 collections of service, and they would have 5 services a day.
You know,
5
passing the
service.
basket around, fill it with money.
I mean, sure. I mean, we have only basket on Sunday, but there are 3 ceremonies every day.
Where I'm pulling it up right now. This guy doesn't post to YouTube no more, and it makes me very upset. But
Who are you talking about?
Kyle, I think I showed you this. I think I showed you this before.
Was
Oh
that?
no.
See, there it is. Just posted in studio notes.
And
Yeah,
he
this
says-
is every church in the South for you right here.
Should I play that or no?
Go play the first 5 seconds of it.
Yeah, let
in the
me.
plate.
There it is.
Holy Ghost in the envelope. Yes, I am.
This is every church, dude. This is every church. You going around saying they're going to pass the collection around. We got our PayPal up on the projector screen, and this is where you can directly send us money. But there's also our other page where you can also send us money this way. I went to a church where we were saying, oh, last collection we had $19,000 in offering money. Can we make it to $20,000? And everybody in the congregation is going, yay! And they're like clapping their hands about this. Like, yeah, so I'd love to get this man money so he can buy another pair of $500 Yeezys.
What?
There it is. There is this. I think the Instagram account. What was it called? It's Preachers and Sneakers. And sneakers.
Oh
I'm gonna
my
pull this up right
God.
now.
That's messed
Preachers
up.
and Sneakers. There it is. I found it.
You know what?
Yes.
I now know why some Americans hate the church.
Yeah.
You know
Yeah.
what? It's not about God. It's about money, baby. Capitalism.
The church is a business down south.
Yeah,
is.
I think. Yeah.
it has
this-
been taken over by grifters. Let's be honest here, guys.
The syndicate has taken over the church down south.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's this entire Instagram account. They're on X and TikTok and YouTube too. It's Preachers and Sneakers, going
Now-
showing like all these people, like these heads of church, like Elevation Church, and a man is coming out with a Rolex watch on his wrist. I guess
Now
we know
you-
where that community money is coming from.
Yeah. Now you have a twist villain because you think, oh, it's Celestial Chorister, but it turns out later is the syndicate guy who just does this for money.
Some Colonel Sanders looking guy just pulls off a latex mask. Turns out it's the Monopoly guy.
That's what he is. Yeah.
Nah, he just puts a cylinder on.
This is where it's been. Like, this is the modern day attitude of Celestial Chorus in the World of Darkness. We're saying, hey, we're this group that's all about love and forgiveness and loving another and second chances. And the Verbena, calm the Avatar Storm, immediately stepped in and said, guess what? You don't have your Chantries anymore. All of your Archmages lost their avatars in the Great Avatar Storm. Now it's time for us to come in, motherfucker. And then they did exactly that, where the Verbena are launching like this whole like widespread targeted atheism campaign to deliberately undermine the Celestial Chorus while promoting their own ideas of paganism. This is real.
You ever wonder why nobody likes the fucking Verbena? This
That's why,
is
because
why.
they said they came out and said, "We remember what you did, eye for an eye, Celestial Chorus," and that is a bitter pill to swallow when it comes to wanting to be the brother's keeper, all loving, all forgiving Christian. Because there are some people out there where either what you did to them to the past, the sins of the father, or anything that your group did to wrong that person in the past, they don't have to forgive you. And they are going to hold that against you. And if they see an opportunity to get revenge on you, they will.
Every poll against every Russian. It's try to be, good Christian when there is Satan next door.
Where, Kyle, you've brought up me before, where I'm not going, his name's not going in my mouth, but you've mentioned me, well, why do you follow these people before, and why do you revel in this misery? Like, what would you do if they all of a sudden decided, I'm going to clean myself up, I'm going to get on the right track? It's because you haven't even begun to begin that forgiveness process. You've caused so much damage over so many years. You will spend the rest of your life paying it back if you want to fix yourself today. Where I can forgive you, but forgiveness doesn't take back what you've done to so many different people in the past. Is what it is. And going through this, we now have the Rapred segment where we talk about how many denominations of Christianity are there? A lot, right? Well, just as many denominations of the Social Chorus exist.
Yeah, I mean, not the. It's more like faction within the faction. You know, when you have
Yes.
Space Marines, but you have chapters. It's kind of like that.
Sub-factions.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. We started with anchorites. I think the pronounced correctly.
Yes.
Simply believe in primarily working in their own salvation. Simply, yeah, we're gonna pray, we're gonna meditate alone, and we're gonna try to achieve ascension through that and not by teaching others.
The
Yeah,
self-made mage.
yeah,
There it is.
very like hermetic people.
Basically, you're doing
Hermits, sorry, very
what
Hermes.
Hermes Trismegistus was doing.
Yeah.
Yes. In the book next is Cabal of the Pure Thought, which is aka pre-alpha patch to New World Order. And the next one is what I like to call Mage the Reckoning, which is the Knights of St. George.
There's-
Yeah, simply the fanboys of St. George who slew the dragon, and they were amazed by that so much that they now go out and fight mostly Kindred, but sometimes Garu and also the Nafandi. They are one of the military forces of Celestial Chorus.
Yes. Kyle, you notice that a lot of ideas within this group would then go off to become the Mercy Creed and Hunter Reckoning.
Yes, very much
Where-
so.
Where this book, this is what I meant by saying this book won't, so Hunter Reckoning could later run.
Especially Knights of the St.
Because-
George.
Because with Hunter Reckoning and Social Chorus, like with Hunter Reckoning, that's a directly militant group, and a lot of those people tend to be zealous and a little bit crazy, and that doesn't really match the image that Celestial Chorus has in Mage Ascension. So it's almost like a different group where you're the same but you're different. There's one key detail that differentiates you.
Whoa, I have no badass idea. What if after Avatar Storm, some of the knights became hunters, became imbued? Because they lost the avatar, so they
That's
started
possible to
square
happen
one.
because anybody at any point in their life can become imbued.
Yeah, and they lost the avatar, so they now become normal people, and from normal people they became imbued. And they have knowledge of the supernaturals more than before, so they're even more dangerous.
There it is. It's the high level creed hunters out there, where these are people that with the mercy creeds that have been around for in the business for a long time.
I don't think it's mercy, bro. I don't
Oh,
think
you
it's
think
mercy.
these are judges, avengers, and offenders?
Uh, well, I think all around, but mostly zealots, because they were fighting kindreds their whole life with magic and weapons, but now they turn into imbued. But it's like, it's not canon, by the way. It's I just thought about it on the spot. So don't take my word like, oh yeah, most of the hunters are from this thing. No, but few of them could be, and you could like now integrate some of the hunter at the reckoning into the
Yes.
mage. And by the
Yes.
way, this subfaction is simply going after Tribir, Giovanni, and any other bastard. But mostly maybe these two vampire kind because they use magic as well.
The ones who really deserve it.
Based.
I mean, technically, it's like magic versus magic. So it's like if you want to put mage in your game, that is the most simplest route.
Make friends with your local mage, everybody. Unless you're a vampire, in which case stay the fuck away, because you will die.
Mate, I just needed a
So-
place to hide.
Yeah, I made 2 short stories about the knights. Check out the Discord server, and maybe you will find out that I am shitty writer.
We do creative writing here.
No, bro's actually really good. Don't trust him.
Nah, I made two short
Like-
stories.
just like Kyle and Ryan, he has no confidence and wants to talk himself down.
No,
As
I
does
feel
every
like we have a
artist.
chronic issue in this server where we're all too humble for our own good. Except for
See,
Johnny.
you
Johnny
need-
thinks he's the best
you
at
need to be
everything.
pompous like me.
I'm pompous about my cooking skills, not my
Like
ranting.
I'm not gonna lie to myself like Porter does and say that I'm a expert storyteller. I'm not. I have games that fail, but I make a game that's entertaining first and foremost.
Okay,
Yeah.
back to the subject.
Yeah,
Yes.
Merovingians,
Merovingian.
Merovingians, the long-haired kings.
You go over this, and I'll be right back. I gotta go to the bathroom.
Okay, I will have to read because I have to, it's a bit long. The faction is unique in the chorus is that is a hereditary faction, dating themselves to the 5th century and the Frankish Merovingian dynasty. So, credited with strange and mystical powers, they take on the familial relations as Cachemons. Cachemons?
I don't know, actually.
And
I
a
can't
fa-
really say I'm reading 3rd edition, sorry.
and are firmly clannish and secretive in the relations with the other singers, aka another members of chorus, refusing to reveal their full membership. The ancient Merovingians were sometimes called the long-haired kings in reference to the association of long hair with magical prowess. To this day, many Merovingians prefer to let their hair grow for the same symbolic association. The Merovingians are known to positions of leadership in business and politics among the unawakened. They claim their duty is to act as an anchor to the congregation in the mundane world through arranging back loans, political protection, and whatever worldly necessity might assist the occasional beleaguered chorister. However, critics accuse them of harboring uh, another secret motives. You have yourself the chorister who is banker.
Who is what?
Imagine being this is your I'm gonna go a little racist here. This is your Jewish cousin who's a lawyer.
Ah,
Well, I am Jewish. I am not a lawyer.
But do you have a cousin who is a lawyer?
No, well, I've one cousin that's a construction manager, and then I have another cousin that's an engineer. So,
breaking stereotypes, this show is.
yes, indeed.
I said I go little racist, but I just wanted to
Are you good, homie?
smooth this in. I wanted to smooth
Man,
this in.
do better, Rapred, am I right?
Bro,
No.
I'm Polish. I'm
After
Polish, bro.
much consideration, I would like to advise him to become worse.
Well,
bro,
I mean,
I can go worse, but I don't want to.
Anyhow,
basically, these guys sound like the anchors to reality, the people who want to keep the
Yes.
celestial course in line so another schism doesn't happen again.
So,
Or-
if you saw a member of the chorus who has long hair, and simply talks about how manage business, how try to be in touch with unawakened, to stay a little bit grounded, and not fly away in your fucking head, and hinges as well. That's the thing. But remember, it's hereditary. So
they're like Jordan Peterson when it comes to talking about Christianity, because something I do appreciate is that he talks about the Bible from a way an atheist who's never been in this kind of life can understand.
I like the other guy, but I don't remember his name. He's
Jonathan Pasho
maybe.
is. Do not say Dennis Prager.
Say the first guy you said, not Peterson, but the after that. Send the picture, and maybe I will confirm it.
Jonathan Pasho, okay.
And next is Septarians. Among the most conservative members of the chorus, the fundamentalists argue against intertraditional equality. They believe in the strict separation, hands the wall or septum between the chorus and the other mages. Simply, yeah, we don't like the others, especially Verbena and Dreams, especially Verbena. We don't like them. So yeah, so we want to separate from the other traditions, but we kind of still need them, but still we don't want them to know.
Oh yeah, go ahead, secede from the Union and die at the hands of the Fondi.
No, it's not that game.
Yes. But yeah, it's some sort of YouTuber out there who talks about God that we don't know the name of at the moment.
But who do you? Maybe I will find them. Where I began. Surprise. Okay. Latitudinarians. Latitudinarians. They
It's
are
a hard word.
Latitudinarians.
No, it's my language. Cut me some slacks.
There it is.
Latitudinarians. I think that is
Yeah,
correct.
That's a-
Rapred.
That is.
That's
I
a-
was struggling with that too. I didn't know where to begin with it.
That's a
Let's-
7-syllable word. I mean, I don't blame you.
Okay. It's a less than society. It's less of a society than a group. A common goal is to break down of the chorus hierarchy, which has not changed much since its inception during the days of the Roman Republic. Simply, we don't want the Pope. We want a little bit of democracy.
So it is. It's just a little bit, right? Just a little bit.
It's like give everybody chance to say something, to vote, to we want to have conversations. We all want to improve the chorus, but the guy with the longest beard says something and we have to listen.
Why would you let this plebeian speak? He is only awakened but a month ago. What are you, some sort of latitudinarian?
Maybe. When I say this, I remember the Dungeon Soup and the Wizard King, and I mean that's what I think hermetics are in the eyes of everybody else.
All right.
The Dungeon Soup Wizard King, who mumbles the shit and then just says, and then just cast Fireball.
The best spell ever. Just fireball.
It's not just this. He cast what was it? Flesh to shit. I'm not joking. It's dungeon. You don't saw Dungeon Soup.
Dungeon soup.
I am going
I
to now.
am not. I don't know.
Episodes with Wizard King are amazing.
Oh god, it's this guy.
And Fireball. Okay, continue with with this episode because it's a long story.
I realized I sent Kyle the wrong page too. Okay, but
No. I see. Oh wait, we're still.
No, I doubled up on a page I sent you. I have the
okay.
little thing in my hand, but I continue with Rapred.
Monists, while some within the chorus argue against the breakdown of the denomination difference and condemn religion secretism as insulting to the integrity of the religion. The monists represent the extreme opposite view. This group argues that the world would be the best served by single global religion in which all divisions are dropped. Critics of monists say that is an unreasonable goal. Yeah, I wonder why. But the monists, quick to point out the results of their work, the World Council of Churches, which attempts to reconcile the many Christians denominations and the works of religious teachers and thinkers who try to demonstrate parallels between Hinduism and Catholicism or Christianity and Zen Buddhism. Simply, we want one big family to worship the one.
Simply the people that have the coexist bumper sticker.
Yeah, we want big family that worships the one. Let us join together. Why do you think one thing is better and one is worse? Just be happy.
Because that's what heresy is. You're believing in the wrong thing and tell people the wrong idea.
Okay.
I don't think you understand. You're going to be part of this family, or you're not going to be alive at all.
Yes.
Now, Sisters of Gabrielle. These mages, this sect of mages are purely of women. They have they have prime and spirit, and they mostly are in the Umbra. They patrolling the Umbra, and they fight demons, dude. We have Sisters of Battles in the Mage the Awakened as this group. Sisters of Gabriella are badasses.
Yeah.
No question asked.
There's
you
just like a
have to
bunch of a Ret 5 or greater mages just going into the Umbra to fuck up demons.
yeah,
Literally
Lady,
Doomslayers.
yeah,
She,
the Lady Doomslayer with a red 7 going against some Malfians, and the last thing the Malfians see is the female rage, which is the worst thing you can be against.
where that she's a lore character in this book too. She's at the back of the book, where that's essentially what she is. She's this game's Saint Dominica, is what she is. Where she went into hell with her magic and smote demons. She was Doomslayer, but a lady.
Lend me your wrath, lend me your fury, praise her, praise to the one.
There it is. So it's like a sick idea. And then, of course, she died, but this entire group rose as she died as a martyr. So
So imagine in your Demon the Fallen game,
But-
you
but-
just chillin' and then 15 women jump you.
But here's the fun thing: we never saw her body. She might still be alive out there.
Oh yeah.
So
She's probably hiding with Sephisura.
it's
Yeah.
quite literally they killed a woman, and then it's just like a bunch of chicks beating up on somebody, like Kurt Russell at the end of Death Proof.
It could be like, say, what Corvus Corax is in Warhammer 40k, where you've ascended and become like a warp daemon, and now you're this unkillable ball of wrath that comes in and smites everything in its path.
So if you're traveling through Umbra, or simply you're a demon on the walkway, watch out.
I think these people and the Black Furies have something in common.
All being women.
Yeah, like girl power.
Along
Oh,
with
yeah.
the Sisters of Hippolyta, but we'll get to them another time.
Yeah. Alright. Do you have any more factions?
Oh, yeah, at least 3 more.
Right.
No,
What's next?
It's more. It's for Alexandrian Society, once called the Tihan, I don't know, League, the Society of Philosopher Priests, contend that the division between religion and science are artificial, imposed by the technocracy. Simply, it's the choristers who say like, "Hey guys, maybe we can use some of this technology, and don't be like against it." So yeah. Imagine virtual adept discovering God,
Yes.
joining Celestial Chorus, and then saying like, guys, we can use a little bit of this stuff to improve our work.
Did you ever hear of Terry A. Davis?
I think whatever I
Oh,
say,
the
you will
fucking
continue.
Temple OS guy. Jesus Christ.
Yeah, who believed he was communing with God through his computer.
Yeah, we can say that.
Yeah.
This is it.
Yeah, this guy definitely looks like he talks to God.
It's like, you look at this guy and say, "Hey, we're building something very nice, and that's the guy I'm building it with."
Yeah.
The man looks like
pre-
he's on some kind of watch list.
He's literally schizophrenic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, quick part for the Energener, Sons of Mithras. The Sons are the small but ancient group which identifies Mithras, one of the first singers, as their founder. A somewhat militant group, and that they consider themselves the guardians of traditions and the current military leaders of the chorus. Due to Christian hostilities, they went underground by the end of the 5th century, which the chorus reunion in 1461. However, they re-emerged and pledged to defend and protect the sacred congregation from its many enemies. Those warriors typically look for catchments with a military background and interest, and among them the more regiment and disciplined faction within the chorus. Simply, this is like one of the knights of George, Sisters of Gabriela, and Sons of Mithras. This is the military faces of the chorus, but
Yeah.
Sons of Mithras think they are special and cool because they named themselves after Mithras, and they think they deserve more than
We believe in the
anybody else.
wrong thing deliberately. Look at us.
Yeah, it works with the
they don't
Verbena. Why
believe
not
it.
them?
They don't believe it, but they like, we're gonna name ourselves after our founder,
Yeah.
Mithras, the first
And,
one
and
of the
then that
first
founder is still
singers.
alive, and
Yeah,
that
the first
founder.
singers, and then it's like, dude, that's the name of the vampire in the London.
That vampire from the get-go
No,
was a spin doctor who was doing this thing as a scam.
I think so.
There it
But
is.
simply, these guys are keeping in check within the chantries, saying like, guys, do we have enough handy infiltrating the chantries, infiltrating the our group? We have to check everyone. Please line them yourself up. We're gonna, check you. Simply, they like when knights go out and fight darkness outside of the chantries, their fight inside the chantries. I would say
Yes.
that's how I would make Sons of Mithras.
They're essentially the judges of doom.
Yeah, they
Yes.
very judgmental people. I mean, their founder is Ventru. Of course, they judgmental. Okay, yeah, Ventru hate always and ever. Hashtag Zimici. Children of Albi, uh, infer- inheritors of many of the Kafir techniques. The misunderstood group is a minority within the chorus. They consider themselves Christians, but not Constantine Christians?
Constantine?
Constantian?
Yeah.
Constantian?
After the Byzantine Empire, Orthodox Christianity.
Oh, Orthodox. So
Yeah.
Russian. They are not followers of the path which Constantine helped codify. They believe in the one God, but in two kingdoms: the kingdom of God and kingdom of Satan, the evil material world in which we are trapped. Oops. This anti-material dualism sets them apart from many of the choristers. Because the world was created by God and it's Satan's. They follow the Gospels in addition to a number of other works typically considered ap- apocryphal and stand utterly opposed to any marriage of church and state. Oh, the history of resurrection entirely bears them out of this. Their members, in fact, are not allowed to hold any form of civil employment. You are broke. You are broke and you are wrong.
It smells like broken here.
Yeah, so, yeah, they are very. When there's like misunderstood group, they not misunderstood. We understood them and we hate them.
There it is. Because they're wrong about everything.
I mean, not everything. There is a kingdom of God, but there is no kingdom of Satan.
There it is. Fucking
And
stage.
the last one before we jump into other segment.
Yes.
Oh my god, I'm gonna need the water after this. The Nashimites, Nashamites,
Nashamites works?
the Nashamites. A
Yes.
small sect originated in the Middle East and forms a repository for a number of ancient Gnostic beliefs, with a few interpretations of their own. The sect argues that the one God contains all possibilities, including the capacity for evil. By no means an unusual argument. These also assert that unity contains duality and that the either good or evil may one day become the dominant characteristic. The reconciliation will be a frightful battle, the Nashamites argue, because the outcome is not fixed. Every soul that turns away from good helps tips the scale further in the direction of the evil, and the one God may in the end become evil. Most within the chorus scoff at this particular notion. It seems to be similar to belief held among chorus Barabi, who proclaim that they are the future of the One. I'm gonna say this: they have relationship with the One like uh, you Thanatos have with the wheel. It has to be balanced,
Yes.
Yes.
and everything can be good and evil. There is no predetermination, and yeah, they believe that if more people are good, there's something bad will happen. There is reaction to every action.
So there it is. As above, so below.
As
Something
it
tells me
is,
these guys would be like, the most infuriating people to be around because if they see something good happen, I think they'd be the kind of people that would just go out of their way to be assholes.
Uh, yeah, I think you Thanatos like them. This is like this is a small faction. You Thanatos is like, you close to our thing, but you don't. But you're not like the rest of the chorus. So it's like we don't hate you, but we don't like you like in natural zone.
yeah,
But,
they've got their quarrels with them. Absolutely.
well, like, you bring up that they have similarities with the Thanatos and Balance.
Uh, I know something with Euthanatos in like the balance, the wheel. It's not like reincarnation, but also it's like kind of it's not a cycle, but the scale, and it has to be even
Yeah, yeah,
because
Because
Balance.
there is stuff in Taoist texts you can get value out of as a Christian because you don't want to be so deep in the light because what if you're meant to exist only in heaven, then what would the existence of Earth be? And you don't want to become too attached to Earth and forsake the ascendance into heaven. It's that line
Yeah.
between the yin and the yang that you want to walk on.
yes,
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
that's what your
they
life is
try
supposed to
to
be.
walk the thin line, and they believe that for greater good to happen, greater evil will come.
Yes. It's like
You're
it's
on
the
this world
people
for a
that
reason.
say that the people that argue against the existence of God, they say like, if God is good, then why do bad thing happen? Well, if God bad, why do good thing happen? It's all a matter of balance. You cannot
Yeah,
have good without evil. It is like light without
that's
shadow. It is, without
yeah,
sun without moon.
that's those people who think ink has its yang, and the one is the entire circle, and
Uh,
depends on us on what scales he goes on a good or bad scale.
Now, now, storyteller, what does that segment say about the congregation? What's the mission? What is?
If I had to say, after listening all to these different sort of factions, I believe that the social course want to unify all in the way of the single chorus. If I'm making sense of this, I just had a bunch of
Yes.
pizza. My brain's kind of full of pepperoni right now. But
It's not.
basically, the
That's not
social
euphemism.
chorus, the social chorus want to unify everyone, not just the Catholics, the Jews, the Muslims. They also want to bring in the lost, the people who need it. But they don't really seem to be all that picky of where they get their congregation. From the way that sounds, all these different sub factions could come from like all walks of life: conservative, libertarian, traditionalists, or New Agers. There's a place for everyone in the celestial course if you can find them.
Where
Unless
whole-
you're an Afandi.
the whole end goal is that they're trying to get as many people to know the one and believe in the one. So when the one is ready to come back and begin the mass ascension process, there will be more people that can mass ascend with them and won't be asleep when that happens.
Yeah,
Basically, the
simply
rapture.
the goal. Yeah, the goal of every chorister is to become the biblical not biblical prophet of the Old Testament.
You do
The
have some
one-
accelerationists like in the group that want an early rapture. Then that's not what this is supposed to be. You're still on this earth for a reason. You're not supposed. The end goal is not to get into heaven as soon as possible. It's to stay behind and have as many people know about the one as soon as possible.
Yes,
Hold
and
open the
also
door,
to
make sure
prepare-
everyone gets through.
Yeah,
Yes.
and also to prepare Earth for arrival of the one by destroying evil with Knights of the Order, to Sisterhood to fight off the demons that they will also fight the one. To I don't know, bring new way thinking with. well, I have to now check out the list again. New way thinking with monists to I don't know, not be close-minded, and also invite some of the technology by the Alexandrian Society, and also believe that not all people are good and bad. No, all people are good. some of them are really, really bad, and that's where Nashimites come from.
Yes.
Simply simply as a chorister, as I would play, is simply also very hunter coded, but protect the people around you, help them, teach them about the one, simple as.
What?
Kill evil things, simply prepare earth and venerate the one, so that when he arrives, it's as he intended, as Chorus believe.
The goal is between the two groups. With the Celestial Chorus, you're trying to have as many people know about the one as possible. While with the Imbued, you know the one is real, but you're trying to prevent those who would drag the ones away from the one. You're purging them from the planet to make sure that nothing muddles the message and nobody is prevented from hearing about the one. But you yourself are now a preacher. That's someone else's job.
And Celestial Chorus is mostly preachers.
Yes. Where
Imagine your father casting golden lightning bolt from his hand.
Yes. Where the Celestial Chorus, they're your mom that's staying at home preparing the home for you, someplace for you to return to and rest. While the hunters are your father going out making sure that all these dragons that want to destroy the home are kept at bay.
Yes, simply yes.
Yeah.
Which
And
I think I don't think like it's hard with Hunter and them, especially with other mages. You can argue, right? That they
yes.
want to kill because they want to purge anything that's not human, which also mages counts technically.
Mages are human. There's nothing that actively transforms them unless they do some freaky Zamiti shit.
Yeah.
Look
You're
at
still
verbatim.
you at the end of the day.
Yes, but they still like they mages and they can rewrite reality, and God made reality as it is. So why would you change it? We can also go with that way.
I mean, because there's a giant eldritch abomination making it worse for everybody.
They don't know that. They think that's Satan.
That's
And when they kill
Demiurge
Satan-
coming in whispering the wrong thing into your ear.
Yeah, and when the hunter killed Lucifer, they think like, well, job is done.
There it is.
Lucifer just falls over. Oh no, you killed me. Bleh. Is he gone?
Storyteller, check your DMs. I'm currently in them.
Uh-oh.
Alright. So
It's in my cheeks.
Kyle did not have time to go over the relationship, so I
Well,
got this under control.
technically, no. I actually, while we were talking, managed to get quite a bit of it done.
All right,
There's still
I
some
forgot to
things that
send,
I've missed, but like
I forgot to send you one of the pages. I'll go over it. But
Yep.
when we get to that point.
Sounds good. Okay. Yeah, I think I see where the break is, but yeah,
Yeah,
it's
I
where
accidentally
the
sent
Sons
you
of
the same
Ether
page
are.
twice.
So, from the top,
Of course,
then.
when it's Sons of Ether, Jolly.
I think he did that.
The
That's
Son-
just
the
a
Sons
little
of Ether, I
cheeky
get
thing he
hung up
did
on it
there.
because I'm just filled with rage when I see that name.
The
Yeah,
Sons of
yeah.
Ether.
It's like, yeah, on accident I didn't send you the list with Sons of Ether.
We got a really intelligent RPG here that's being dragged down by the Sons of Ether.
Yeah, I love when he says like there are verbatim next to that, but nah, Sons of Ether every
The Sons of
day.
Ether.
Like, he just
You're
thinks the
getting
Verbaner are
distracted
dumb,
by
but he
this hoverboard
legitimately
shit.
hates
This
the
isn't
Sons
what
of
Mage is
Ether.
supposed to be.
I mean, why not? Who doesn't want mages on hoverboards? That sounds fucking awesome.
They're called the Sons of Ether. They believe in the existence of a god particle by having that name, and they're doing nothing to prove beyond that one experiment that failed 100 years ago. What the fuck's this faction doing?
They're building
what's
cool
the
shit for
Verbaner
us to
doing?
fight the war with.
They've like given up on their own paradigm, and there's no mass ascension here.
Yeah, but I also love is like directly Tower of Bible.
Tower of Babel, yeah.
Bible. Yeah, it's like we tried to make the tower to reach heaven, thousands of years ago. It didn't work, and we didn't try again. It's like Sons of Ether history.
Well, yeah, and then all the Etherites started speaking in tongues.
In different language, and every other Etherite do their own thing. Huh?
It's trying to prove the existence of a god particle to science, and yet how much progress has that faction made in the past 100 years?
Science. We believe
Yeah.
God in that this episode. I mean, I believe in God every day, but still,
All right.
Kyle, relationships.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, we're
So-
on a clock. We got 33 minutes left.
Yes. Quick fire mode. So, it's weird. This book actually starts with the other supernaturals before it goes into the other traditions and the technocracy, which I thought was kind of neat.
It's phrased from perspective of you asking a cardinal, what does the church think of this?
Yes. So, to start off, what are other supernatural creatures? They believe that the Course teaches, in her infinite wisdom, all supernaturals make up the tapestry of the children who are the one. There are those of us who carry the Lord's song. There are those who also are full of pride and rebelliousness that sing against him or fail to support him entirely. So there are those who sing with, those who sing against, and those who waver. So, the origin of them, there are, as I said, support, resist, and waver. Those who wavered and sang against the word of God were banished from the worldly to the worldly form to learn humility and loyalty towards the one. And shapeshifters and vampires are of those who did not support him, though of varying degrees of rebelliousness, the nature of which exists in a sort of shadowy realm between the awakened and the sleeping. They're awakened to wondrous powers, but their own sinfulness prevents them, or perverts them into something sinister, which makes their forms a lot more static and inflexible compared to the average chorister, and thus not true singers. Starting off with vampires, they find vampires as the most rebellious of God's children, being the son of Cain. Their pride and their anger have warped them into these twisted beasts, that their own hubris grants them strength and dominion over others. They feed off the sleepers, though they do know that there are some that might not have taken root entirely. Some humanity might still remain in them. Oh, you don't say? And some of the celestial chorus. Some of the
Scottish guy.
What?
Don't use Scottish guy. Every vampire is evil.
No, I'm going to do it all for the rest of this. I hope you know that, mate.
Yeah, sure. Whatever. 12 gauge slag.
I love how you hate Colt's voice. I think it's the funniest shit.
It gives me weird feeling in my tummy, and I had it. I don't really like it. It's a Scottish accent. It's about you doing the Scottish accent, and it's like it's like twist in my it's when I hear also like British accents. It's like I hate this. I don't know why.
You're probably not going to like the ecstatic. I'm going to put in Rage Across LA, are you?
I'm gone. It's in my DNA to hate them. Sorry, my dude.
Rapred's gonna fucking strangle me, dog.
The
Anyhow.
vampires are the most rebellious and hateful of all of God's children.
That's what I said, yeah. And
Sorry. Continue.
so, they believe that some humanity might still remain within them, and some even more pity them as victims. Some of them are, as, we have seen in the past, some of them were seduced by the ways of their own pridefulness and power that they were granted and became some of the dark singers. For vampires, it all varies. Shapeshifters, meanwhile, they believe that shapeshifters, this is really interesting, they believe that they're singers who use life arts to alter the human form. There are, and some of which are of two natures, of human and animal. They become shapeshifters less out of wickedness than some quality in their nature that seeks conflict. The rage that was imbued against Algaro. The chorus tends to pity them much more than vampires, but they do recognize them. Many are savage and uncontrollable beasts. This burden is carried with them over a lifetime. Some choristers believe that this is the embodiment, some shapeshifters believe themselves to be the embodiment of some divine wrath. And these are occasionally easier to guide towards salvation, believing so. Some can be contracted and persuaded, sometimes even sung into abandoning their reckless indulgence. It's dangerous, but possible. And then we have demons.
Now, before you get to that, this is where you're missing a page.
Oh, am I missing a page here?
All right, so let me go ahead and post in student notes the page that you're missing, the picture of it. Check this out.
Okay, let's see it. Hang on.
Oh.
Oh, that's fucking raw, dude.
It's like got some serious Beauty and the Beast energy to it.
I love that. That's awesome.
Kyle as a fairy would love that.
Yes.
Shut up.
We're going into
But also,
I do want to open up the discussion for the werewolves because the children of Gaia, they're not just the liberal hippie pacifist werewolf, a substantial chunk of the children of Gaia have a reconciliation of belief that both Gaia and God exist at the same time, and that doesn't conflict with any sort of belief. But according to Celestial Chorus, no, you've got nature in you that prevents you from being saved. We have to put you to death.
It depends. They say like many of them is like I think it's like Galliards and Arbuns are more susceptible to frenzy, so they put most of werewolves in that box.
And you've got
But
this
they not
deep
all that.
Flemish
I
nature
mean,
to you
there's.
that you can't take out. You've literally got the devil in you.
I mean,
Yes.
but also it's like it's Chorister's job to help them to prevent the devil to take over. So I think like Fianna, who are very Christian, Black Furies, who we all know love the nun lifestyle.
And there's a way to do it. Seal
Yeah.
off the changing breed, seal off the rage, prevent them from ever changing into another form again. That's how you save them.
Yeah.
You have to obliterate the wolf in the werewolf in order to save them from that.
That's kind of
mean,
fucked
yes
up,
and
in all
no.
honesty. That could happen
Yeah.
to Kendi, I realize.
Yeah.
I think it's like it depends on the chorister as well. But
Where-
most I think most choristers would say like werewolf, kill that thing because it will kill you. It's either you or him, and it's just pure survival.
Now, we've got a section here for the Longavi. Now, Marty's, what does that word mean? Fairies is what they're referring to.
That's okay. That's odd.
Where-
And I'm gonna say this: if this channel hits 666 subscribers, we're gonna do the Demon the Fallen special.
That
Hammer
honestly
back
is kinda smart,
Demon
actually.
Fallens.
of-
Challenge
of-
accepted.
Yes, with the fairies, the choristers believe that this is a creature that is different from man and animal that exists in its own category that they're still trying to put their finger on to describe. They have houses, they have society, they have a system of hierarchy that mimics human society. Now, they don't really know whether or not they're imitating humanity or humanity's imitating them, where that comes from. The fairies are very alien in nature to them, and they're still trying to figure out what exactly they're talking about, because have you talked to a fairy as of late?
me as a
tends to
true
be a lot of
chorister, me as a
there's
true
been-
chorister,
there tends to be a lot of like misdirection in what they say.
yeah, I'm gonna say this as a true chorister. I also don't know what fairies are. They're like in their own bubble, as and of the all IP of World of Darkness. Changeling is most alienated one, but also I think I would like it if I know it more about it. But it's like it's super weird for me, and it's like I don't know if I want to touch it, but if I touch it, I think
Because
I
they
want
say
to
that
die.
too. They say that they're in the same boat as vampires, where because of how every single one of their powers seems to involve some sort of shape-shifting or mischief or deliberate malice, there's got to be some sort of evil attached to them.
Yeah. Demons, Kyle.
Yes.
What do
Well, hold
you
on.
think about
Wait,
demons?
hang on. What's up?
Angels first, actually.
Really?
Yeah,
Hello,
yeah. Angel the something, the book that we never
Angel
got
the
around to.
Guardian?
Angel the Salvation, if I'm not mistaken.
Oh, is
That's
it?
it.
Oh, look at that.
So, we believe that not all of the many were shattered. Some, those closest to God, remain in their pure forms and are still with us on earth. We are called the Seraphim, the Cherubim, the Thrones, Dominions, Virtues, Powers, Principalities, Devas, Archangels, and Angels. They are to be revered but not worshipped. They know that they are an extension of God's will. So any sort of feat that they do, that is just an extension of what God is doing, not necessarily the agency of the angel himself.
Hmm.
And that's what they got to say about that. All right. And now we can get into the demons.
Okay. So, demon. Okay. Where was that page? There we are. So, there are two types of demons. Well, actually, I want to first go over this authoritative work written by Sister Gabriella herself, the Treatise on the Infernal. This is the call to arms against the diabolic. To summarize it, there are two types of demons. There are lesser demons and there are greater demons. Lesser demons are the spirits created by the rebels who sang against the One. Very simple, destroy them if the opportunity presents itself, but they are not the greatest threat. Of course, that goes to the greater demons, those who were banished, those who are wicked and baleful and, managed through force of their own will to survive the shattering and linger in their original powerful forms. But they were, however, banished to the nether realms and infernal regions, Gehenna, Sheol, Hell, the Inferno, whatever you want to call it. That also makes it clear that A, the Celestial Chorus knows about Gehenna, and B, Gehenna is just hell on earth. So,
Because most of those Gehenna scenarios, even though all of them do result in the complete extinction of vampire kind, not all of them end without human casualties. Where Wormwood is the nicest way for Vampire the Masquerade to end, but there's still a ton of dead humans by the end of that game.
I'm gonna say this. Did you live with Antediluvian as your neighbor? It's hell on earth, bro.
yes.
It is.
So,
Bruja Senior was the most logical of all the Antediluvians, and even then, she was a basket case to talk to.
yeah, absolutely. So,
There it is.
You live that long,
you
you're
cared
not
about
exactly going
nothing.
to come out of that without any kind of senile defects or something.
without any
They're gonna lie for
without
way
any
too long.
dementation. Anyhow, so of the greatest of these, of course, is Lucifer, sometimes known as Satan, the adversary, Belial, Eblis, or Abaddon. He's the leader of the rebel singers and the greatest in pride and power. He's revered as Laudaboth by the Nafandi, and some dream speakers call him the Worm. So,
Yes.
that solidifies the whole dream speakers Garrow connection.
They are
right
wrong
there.
about that, though. The Worm and Lucifer are two different people.
Really?
Yeah. Oh, Demon of Fallen establishes that, yes, there is a valley of difference between the two.
Yeah, very big.
Yes.
Okay, we'll learn about that when we do eventually cover Demon of the Fallen. And then the Endless War. This is another epithet for the mission of the chorus. Some believe that the sacred duty is to coddle the sleepers until they're ready to accept heaven. Pretty much every other chorister knows that the real idea is that the ascension can never occur, unless Lucifer has a hold on the soul of the world. Those who dedicate themselves to the war live a difficult life, and the threats of the technocracy will always pale in comparison to the threats of the infernal. So, it's the threat of physical danger. Worse than the threat of physical danger is the threat of temptation and corruption, and nothing pleases hell more than to subvert the chorus. And then we have ghosts. They're just poor, discarnate spirits of the dead. Ghosts, restless souls, wraiths, however you want to call them. They're mortals who are locked in limbo. They have not ascended, and sometimes appear right after the death of the individual. And, they've either not been the individual was not a virtuous and obedient server of God, or, they've not gone into another cycle in which they've been given another chance. Something of that nature, perhaps.
The Catholic idea of purgatory.
Yes, basically. However, this discarnate form carries with a deep conviction that keeps them from moving on because of some task unfulfilled. Some within the chorus will argue that this form of afterlife is just another stage in which the dead may attain salvation. But for the most part, some say it's naive and foolish to assume they would stick around for worldly reasons. It doesn't make any sense when the afterlife is there. There are individuals who still waver from accepting the All-Singer out of some inherent weakness of heart. Maybe they haven't fully denied him, or if they fully accepted him, they just linger on. But they'll wither away of their own accord unless they do come to accept God, as how they put it.
Yes.
And then we have the traditions. So the interesting thing is they refer to them in the book as the Council of Nine. They don't see the other traditions.
Their old name.
Yeah, they don't see them as other traditions. They see them as some other sort of remedial allies, basically, that haven't fully accepted the word of God yet. It's been, it's long been hang on. Oh, wait, no, I'm reading the wrong part of my notes. Sorry. They are closer to some of the unawakened who have wavered than they are to the actual celestial chorus, and many of which have been opponents to the chorus throughout history, starting, of course, with the verbena. So, the verbena have been among the worst of the offenders as they deny transcendence and holiness of the all-singer in the pursuit of blood and passion, and their song has just been a front to them forever. But due to the circumstances, they're, sort of tied together. And then, of course, you have the Hermetics. I'll let Johnny, seethe for a little bit. You can hear it in the background. There's, of course...
No, I like the Hermetics. The Hermetics knew what they were talking about.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
Anyhow, so...
They had a few details wrong, but they had a lot of wisdom.
Okay. But there has been a long rivalry between the Hermetics and the Chorus because the Chorus sees the Hermetics as just the epitome of pride-filled sorcerers. They attempt to wrest the control of creation from God and seek the mastery of creation within themselves, starting with the theft of Solomon's name all the way to the feudal lordship. Power has ever been the name of their song, and it disgusts with the Chorus. And then the Dream Speakers, like the verbena, they forsake the supremacy of heaven for trivial metaphysics. They don't see the Supreme Spirit, the One. They dally with the spirit realm, trivial and sometimes dangerous it can be. And some of the young chorus are obsessed with the spirit ways, especially from those backwater cultures and heathen religions that they might, that might well be just dream speakers in disguise. So just watch them very carefully. The Cult of Ecstasy, meanwhile, they don't fucking understand them. They can't really accuse them of ignoring God when it's hard to ignore what you really can't see because you're so high off your own supply that you can't do anything. Well, yes. They are gifted in prophecy. They seem to be only thrill seekers and spoiled children. But, they have a long history, but fails to mature. It might see the error of its ways eventually. Then, of course, you have the Akashic Brotherhood. They seek too much of the divinity within, while God is supposed to be at the heart of all, and he reigns supreme regardless. The Akashics, however, have mastered their own divinity, but see this mastery as their only goal. They don't realize that there is a purpose in beyond the self-meditation. They want to, ensure the world can meditate. Oh, God, are you really going to talk your smack to me? Come on. The Euthanatos foolishly believe that they can perceive when an individual has lived past his allotted time, and assume by pushing the soul to a speedy reincarnation, the soul has a better chance at ascension. But how can the soul ascend if it hasn't given a sufficient chance to practice self-perfection? Because some people fuck it up so bad that they just need to go, okay?
Yeah,
why would I let anybody waste more people's time when I can kill them and let them try again?
Kill vampires, not people. Read next page.
God, tell me, what should I do?
You must kill them all.
Okay, then.
Thank you, storyteller. Okay. The Sons of Ether, trivial and paltry. They obsess over scientific toys and have avoided the Promethean heresy to a degree. They can ignore them, but they should also be very wary of potential betrayal. And then, of course, you have the technocracy, skeptics, atheists, Prometheans, all those who put the will of man above the will of God and deny his existence. Some chorus dispute who posed the greater threat between the Nephandi and the technocrats, and it's hard to say which one's worth because both of them are just awful. That we have fallen from the mythic ages is true. It's sad to see, but it is what happened. The vision of the sacred city was really close and is far gone from now. It's the order of reason to blame, plain and simple, for that. But, what started out as just a minor annoyance eventually grew and swelled into a great foe that they struggled to oppress. Starting off with the New World Order, they pay very, very close attention to these guys. This convention may be traced to the Kabbalah Pure Thought, a group of singers who tried to first instill a sense of uniformity between the belief, but fell sway to the errors of reason without revelation, and now stand as their greatest ideological enemies. So they have personal beef with the New Order. For this heresy, they must be fought on every front. Destroy them. And then the Nefandi. It's very little to say about them. They're a blight upon the earth. Destroy them. Plain and simple. Just fuck the Nefandi. Fear the Dark Singers. They seek to destroy our bodies and pervert our spirits, and nothing pleases them more than to turn one of our own into their dark cause. If you come across a Chorus Barabi, do not engage them in combat. Notify the Curia. They may call down the fires of heaven upon them. Literally, just back off, call an airstrike. And then the Marauders. They were so warped by the power of their own songs that they just completely went crazy. Because of their insanity, they can't really be held accountable for their own actions, but exercise a lot of caution around them, as they leave madness everywhere they go. They might be useful against the Nefandi or the Technocracy, but they could very easily turn against us. Basically, if there's one near you and there's a Technocrat over there, grab him and throw him at the Technocrat. And then, what's up?
May I take over the last bit just for the sake of time?
Yes, please.
So Ali Batin, aka the Batini, they used to be of the same cloth as the Sister Chorus. Your Euthanatos would beg to differ with that. But they've gone down a different path where it's gone from directly venerating God to try to ask the questions and know the same kind of information as God, where they're not on board with that idea. They want to like him, but they're waiting for the Batini to admit that they're wrong before they step forward and offer them the forgiveness that they deserve. The Orphans, aka the Hollow Ones, just let them be. They're not going to do anything anytime soon.
They ain't gonna do nothing.
Yeah, just let them chill. Don't worry about them.
Hedge mages, sorcerers that are not part of a tradition. You're going to want to get on these guys. Where make sure that they join your side before they do something crazy like join the Verbena or the Nefandi or the Tenacracy. They have their finger on a button. They're getting close to something, but you're doing it wrong. Let us come in and let's teach you the right way of how this is supposed to happen. And for a list, there's no saving you. There's no saving you.
It's like, hey, you're get the fuck up out of here.
You've allowed the devil to enter your soul, destroy it, or corrupt it beyond the point that we can repair it. I'm sorry, but the only thing we can do for you is sentence you to death. And the Inquisition, yeah, it happened. It's a stain on our history, but please do not view us just for that.
Yep.
Yeah, the whole fast forward version of it. Storyteller.
We all went through a phase. Yes.
You got spells?
I got all the spells, baby. What you want?
Let's see here. Give us a spell.
Okay, let's start with something reasonable, something simple. Speaking in tongues, a Mind 5 spell. A common missionary gift, this rite is first recounted in the Travels of Ecumenides, when the respected prophet calmed a mob of angry Celts by singing to them in Gaelic. Even though he had never heard their dialect before, since then it has kept traveling in good stead, especially during the turbulent days of the Grand Convocation. Valoran himself was said to have mastered it, though his emissary Bernadette never learned. This rite allows a singer to speak in her native language while her listeners hear her speak in their own. Conversing with more than one person at a time requires several successes, sees Mage, 2nd edition, page 165. This translation lasts for the spell's duration, even if the mage stops speaking, so long as she speaks to the same person or people. Right.
Yep.
That sounds very similar to a certain Garo gift that Ragabash can take.
Yeah, let's go up here and I say, Obo Shabe Go Hebe Go Shata. You can't tell me what that means unless you know the one.
Lale Lule Lo.
Okay.
Ooh, ee, ooh, ding, ding, wow.
Hey, what's up? Give us some magic words!
Yummy, ooh, ee, ooh, ah, ah. But yeah, let's go for something a little more controversial. See the light. Mi- I'm busy right now. Mine 3, entropy 3, or entropy 5. This insidious rote is said to have originated within the cabal of pure thought, and is rarely used within the chorus, which prefers genuine conversion over coercion. Typically, it destroys a rival's thinking process, unraveling his logic and giving the chorister the upper hand in a debate. One priest, Diocletes by name, was said to have been punished severely by Valoran for using the spell during the convocation debates. When he tried it against Nightshade, she revealed his manipulation and nearly withdrew the verbena from the council on the spot. Oh boy.
I cast lobotomy beam.
There it is. We smote.
By distributing the usual flow of the target's thoughts, the chorister can turn her normal reasoning to mush. This usually triggers insecurities, which lead to further gaffes and so on. Meanwhile, the chorus mage remains free to reason as he will. The higher rote level, which involves only entropy, actually distorts the target's ability to reason coherently. Neither version leads to actual religious conversation without further mental manipulation. Although a defeated subject will be more susceptible at first, she'll soon begin to question her devotion. I think
Yeah,
I've seen this spell used a lot on Reddit, or at least tried to,
I'm
with
gonna
mixed
say this.
results.
It originates from Cabal of the Pure Thought. NWO has that spell.
It is.
Yeah.
This is how heresy
Oh.
begins to form.
No, it's really like Cabal of the Pure Thought had to have that spell, so NWO
It's,
as well.
it
Imagine,
specifically mentions them.
yeah, it's NWO spell right now.
Yeah.
Current Knights. Remember that, bro.
Something tells me that they still have it and are trying to, like, atheize the Celestial
Yeah.
Chorus.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It
All
is.
right. One more?
Yes, one more.
Question.
All right.
I mean, I have one last segment, thing. I mean, you can leave, and we can in our three persons do it.
Uh,
But it depends on them if they want.
Go over the spell.
All right. Wrath of Heaven, Forces 3 or Prime 3. The ultimate weapon of crusading mystics. This fire column often sweeps from the skies, incinerating the target. Variations include exploding powder magazines, flaring bonfires, icy winds, and bolts of lightning. Although the obvious application remains vulgar in most societies, God works in mysterious ways. The extra success level from Force's magic makes this effect quite potent. With Prime 2, the fire or other element created inflicts normal damage. Prime 3 intensifies the quintessential flow, raising the damage to aggravated levels. Naturally, creatures who already take aggravated harm from fire, like vampires, suffer the same regardless of the power level. Overuse of this dramatic effect is considered the mark of a weak and clumsy singer, and a paradox magnet at that.
Isaiah, why did you say if God's real, let the fire rain? Why?
Let's see. And
Anybody Old Testament or no?
I
yeah,
haven't read the Old Testament.
just
Again, I've never read the Bible before, so
uh,
I'm,
and storyteller. What are the foci that the Celestial Chorus want to use?
well, the main one they use is prayer and song.
Yes,
Prayer
your
holds
voice
the-
itself is your spellcasting focus.
Yeah, you can see these guys using prayers, hymns, songs like that. But you can also see Celestial Choristers hidden as like musicians who use their voice to stir the crowds and make them feel stuff. Also, fire. Fire is a very potent foci because not only does it burn shit, you can use magic with it. We've also got incense, like divine smells to ward off diseases, maybe to heal. Water is usually a divine sort of symbol in most cultures, as mostly something for spirits or to heal. Let's see, we got your general holy symbol, so holding up that holy cross, the Star of David, that'll pretty much work. even if you don't have true faith. Touch, no comment. We also have fasting. Actually, fasting will denying yourself that, maybe like breaking down all your spirits. It could probably be used in sort of as a means of focus, maybe for ritual casting or something like that. But other sort of foci you can pretty much use for your magic is like hair. Merovingians often use their hair as a foci for prime, hence their association of hair with magical strength. You can use tattoos for certain choristers, particularly tribal ones. Uh, maybe like from cultures that talk to the lower and spirits like that. Or, you can just swords. Swords is a pretty good focus. I mean, the image of a Templar knight, that always brings that. That's my go home timer. But
Yo, pass me the holy sword.
yeah, if you want a holy sword, talk to your local celestial chorister.
Yeah,
They'll
I
hook
mean,
you up.
holy flaming sword, by the way, and
Yeah.
also the weapons that were used during crusades and many battles were blessed by the church, especially
Yeah.
swords.
These guys will get you your holy flaming sword. It's not that hard. It's prime 3, forces 3 at best. What?
Yeah.
Is there anything else?
It's 1 minute left. I have to ask both of you. I have an idea to continue the video, but Johnny
well,
has
what's
to
the thing?
leave. Technically, discussing about the prime itself, and then mixing splats.
Prime
Okay.
itself. Kyle, you want to take over while I head out? Because I have to stop here.
For the mixing splats?
Yeah.
And prime, yes. I mean, if you want, but I don't want to, push story to SD and you to,
Well, I'm good, but
something
like,
you want
Shift
to.
tomorrow. I'm
so
good.
Okay, so
All right, Kyle, I'll leave the rest of this in your hands.
right. So the mixing of splats. I mean,
Uh,
yes.
before we go into that, I think we have to talk about the, you know, beer and butter of the celestial chorus, which is sphere of prime, which in the most simple ways is the mana. The sphere of magic that choristers use is simply mana manipulation, counter spells, dispel magic, finding detect magic. Simple as that.
It is
I w-
interesting. Oh, sorry. What's up?
no, continue.
So it is interesting how like they kind of get built into like very much a cleric kind of class. Matter of fact, they're far more useful than like a 5e cleric because, clerics typically can't counterspell, but prime being able to do that, being able to have protection magic as well as offensive capabilities with some of the spells that they can use, as Storyteller described, honestly makes them a very powerful class. It's no wonder that with Prime, this is the reason that Celestial Chorus was the jumping off point for what would eventually become Hunter the Reckoning.
Yeah, I'm not gonna say this as well. In Mage, you can make your own spells, by the way. In my idea, you can combine Prime, Spirit, and Forces, and simply smite someone avatar. So you can simply kill someone's avatar, making them unawakened.
That's gotta
You
be
can
a.
literally NPCify your enemy mage.
Yeah,
That's just
technically,
cruel.
technically, you take away their power, but now they can, make you feel paradox
You
on
can.
the next spell.
That is true, but so that would be a very very difficult roll. I'm not sure exactly how I would rule that.
I mean, you have to have high levels of prime spirit and forces, first of all, and then you have to have the best roll on a red ever.
Yes.
Yeah.
But still, yeah, the prime is like the most basic, but as well very useful power to have. I mean, also storing more quintessence in you, which is you can cast more spells and you can make spells less difficult. But
So
maybe SD will tell more about it because he is like Mr. Mage here.
yes.
Prime on its own doesn't really seem all that of appealing sphere to have. But then you start looking into it, and then you start to see, wait a minute, I'm having ideas. You mix it with matter. You're summoning swords from thin air. You mix it with forces. You're conjuring fireballs out of nothing. You don't have to rely on that big lighter you keep in your pocket. You mix it with maybe some spirit. You're starting to siphon some of that primal energy, that quintessence out, and give it to yourself. It's a
Or
very
either
useful.
way, and giving quintessence to the spirits, making talents like the dream speakers do.
Exactly. On its own, it has its uses. Mixing the spheres together with Prime, it's like a shot of espresso. It's going to give you that itch, that extra bit of energy that you're looking for.
It's
Yeah, simply it's making your spells squared
it really
So
is.
this
Yeah.
is
if you combining the spheres.
this is also that god particle the Sons of Ether have been looking for, yet they don't seem to fucking grasp it. It's literally what they're looking for, but the Celestial Chorus got to it before they did, so they
Yeah,
got
and
stuck with matter.
yeah, and as well is also very chorister coded because Christian wise, God is everywhere and and also in everything, as well as quintessence, which that's why they have the prime sphere and they focused on, because they want to understand the God which is in everywhere, even in the molecules. That's my take on it.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not I don't know as much about like I don't have as much an idea about you know how forces came about, but it does make sense just in the context of all that they are capable of and what they believe in that they would have such a power because they would be one of the few people with the responsibility to actually use that power effectively. But also add it that a double-edged sword, like on the chance that, say, a technocrat or a Nefandi was able to sway a chorister, that would make a deadly foe.
Yeah, if
Absolutely.
you remember the Iteration X episode, there was a part about Celestial Chorus that when they've been broken down, they thought that machine was a god, and they were so destroyed that NWO agent said, "Okay, there is nothing we can do with him."
Yep. It would be like a real painful moment in a campaign, say, like if you had like this really powerful ally that was a Celestial Chorus that got corrupted, and he then had to use all that power against you. I mean, I think that'd be such a great moment in a game. It's like you spend some time like, supporting this NPC, building them up, and then they just
Yeah.
turn on you and and all your hard work has gone to waste and you have to exterminate them because of how powerful they become.
Yeah, and as well, like with the Prime and how the foci work, they can simply sing something into existence. With the short stories I did, one of the characters song while charging in the battle, and used a golden laser beam like Superman, simply and kill vampires. You
They,
can
That's
use
kind of
your
cool.
you can use your voice and imitate Black Canary to create sonic booms.
Yeah,
You can
that's
sing
more
the
forces,
fireball
but
into
yeah.
existence. Yeah, it's the forces. You can, I don't know, sing, touch the earth, and create giant spike beneath someone.
A
They
celestial
not only
chorister.
they are kind
they
of
not
busted.
only they not only powerful, but they also don't need more foci. Only they need the air to breathe and time to speak. Because if you allow them to speak, chorister is now the one of the most dangerous people in the room. There's no debate for that because they don't need some fancy foci like the wizard staff or wizard wand like hermetic, the blood like verbena. They need their own voice, and they can do busted shit with the prime and other spheres.
Yep. Yeah, they're just fucking insanely strong. You'll have to pardon me. I'm kind of running low on things to say about myself, but
Yeah, it's kind of clear. Social chorus, dangerous if whether you know how to use them properly.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, it's like my favorite tradition. Just I think dream speakers are like my second favorite, and maybe like they climbed their way to number one spot, but celestial chorus is the number one spot for me.
Yep.
And I think this segment you will have much to say, Kyle, as you storyteller, because you both storytellers. Mixing splats, and how would you run chorister?
Me personally, I would, and this is gonna sound ridiculous, but like, I would love a chorister that was like a soul singer, somebody that like. There's this movie. I know it's a comedy movie, but the Blues Brothers. James Brown is in that movie, and he plays a pastor.
It's, oh
That
my god, such a great movie.
Oh, it's a phenomenal movie. But he plays as this pastor that sings to, the churchgoers on a day, and it helps, and Jake sees the light and he realizes that he's on a mission from God. And I feel like he'd be that kind of a character where he uses the power of song to inspire people to join the chorus. And I feel like using his music as a foci rather than fire. Or maybe you can combine the two, but that would be how I would go about doing it. But then again, I love charismatic bard characters.
Yeah, but I also thought you would go with Christian rocker than
Well,
pastor.
Why? I mean, ¿por qué no los dos? Why not do both?
Why not
Yeah.
do both?
If you have the charisma and the performance score to make it happen, make it happen.
Yeah.
Not all
and
musicians
ST
are locked to one genre.
Yeah. ST, how would you use chorister before we go into bigger range?
If I had, well, I have had a couple ideas for Celestial Courser characters. I have had like the wizened old priest who's seen it all, he's done it all. He was once a rebellious youth, but saw a light of God and came into the fold, and he's using his past mistakes to guide the lost and bring them into the light, as it were, where he would speak and he would teach. And through the years, he grew more powerful, but he didn't use this power to smite the wicked. He uses it to redeem the fallen, except for the Nefandi, which the only way to redeem a Nefandi is about a 45 caliber.
Good luck with that.
Yeah.
44
Prime
Magnum.
infused 45 caliber bullet.
Nah.
That'd be pretty sick.
Quintessence infused 12 gauge or
Yes.
38 special.
It reminds me of the fucking Dr. Manhattan Watchmen meme where it's like an Afandi trying to sway me, God's strongest soldier, Mossberg 500 Express with Prime 2.
Yeah.
But
No! The funny face of the owl guy.
But there's this one other idea I had. It's the classic Holy Avenger, the one who sees the wicked in the world and stands before it, sword in hand, quite literally, and stares it straight into the eye and dares it to make a move.
Yep.
The one who would defend the innocent, purge the wicked. I kind of like those kind of characters. The ones that are soft-hearted, but if you piss them off, it was hell on earth.
It's always satisfying to have a character like that where they're just the sweetest person. They want to help people. They want to be kind to people. They never say an unkind word to anybody. But
And then
there's
the shoe
nothing.
drops.
There's nothing more terrifying than a tempered individual breaking.
Yeah. I'm gonna say the Sunshine character has also the Celsius of the sun and can burn shit.
Exactly.
Literal kamehamehas.
Yep.
Yeah.
Step ye not too close to the fire.
Yeah.
All right. So
How would I use chorister? I would. You both have like great example. I would say this. I think I don't know if I can think right now something different. But what about the young chorister who tries to find himself in the chorus? He believes in God, but he's also has the
Like he's got his own personal
Self-
quarrels, something like that.
yeah. He's more like he has low self-esteem, and he's more even under level than your party, and you try to help him to build his confidence. You see him grow as well with your party, and uh, he could be potential ally, but also when parties scorn him, he could be potential antagonist and fall as you described before.
That would be an
So,
interesting. Yeah, go ahead.
so a freshly awakened one then.
Yes, like freshly awakened, freshly introduced to the chorus, but he himself had very difficult past, and he tries to overcome it with your help, or without your help, he will be consumed by the evil within him.
Okay.
That is actually that in of itself would be a great story for like a character to run through in a campaign.
And what about mixing splats? Let's start with what this channel is known for, which is werewolf.
The obvious choice to me, I think, would be the child of Gaia, because they are more temperate and more willing to listen to the word of God. And I believe in the Child of Gaia video, we did speak a lot about how the children of Gaia would ally themselves with the church in order to be a better outreach to garner further kinfolk. But likewise, also, I'd say the Black Furies, because Black Furies and the Sisters of Gabriella, I'd say would be, just an obvious pairing, I'd say.
ST, any thoughts?
I could go like the easy route, say the Celestial Chorus going with the Black Furies, but if I were to introduce the Celestial Chorus into a werewolf group, I would probably have it be maybe the Celestial Choristers and the local Garu trying to find some middle ground. They both know about the worm. They both know about these insanely powerful entities known as demons. They're not. They are well aware of their wrath, so they pretty much tiptoe around that. But at the end of the day, they both want to help the innocent out. Except for the Red Talons. I don't think a Celestial Chorus and a Red Talon could ever be in the same room together.
I mean, they could be in the same room, but one of them would be not live, not alive.
Yeah,
Yes.
the Red Talon will be there, or one of them's going to
Yeah.
be alive, the other is going to be smeared
I
on the
mean,
wall.
I mean, imagine if Red Talon goes into Helmet form and they have theological debate about Gaia and God, Gaia versus God.
Yep.
Indeed. But knowing
Yeah.
how stubborn the Red Talons are, I don't think that will be
It'd be a less
You
than
think-
productive conversation.
You think Christians aren't stubborn? You only go for the Red Talon?
I mean, yeah, but perhaps much less prone to bursts of extreme violence.
Yeah, especially when you have rage, that happens. But I
Yes.
think also you could introduce them by Uktena. I mean, Dream Speakers and Uktena are so tight, and Dream Speakers have rocky relationship with Celestial Chorus, so you can make them antagonistic to your kinfolk, to kinfolk of the Uktena, as well. And not making them like, oh, these debaters or those helpers, but someone antagonistic towards your group.
Yeah, that's true
think-
as well. Like, seeing a Celestial Chorus in an antagonist role, I think that'd be interesting.
It would be
Yeah.
interesting.
Next on the list is Vampire, which I
Oh.
think I told before, like Tremere and Giovanni and La Sombra, obvious 3 picks.
Yep. I mean, the Lasombra do integrate themselves directly into the church, and especially with I do believe that the choristers and the Lasombra would have words, if not actions, about the the jihad against the antediluvians. I believe that'd be actually an interesting thing, because like Lasombra trying to convince a chorister that the jihad is purging the demons of the world, the sons of Cain. But then again, Lasombra also do tend to corrupt people as well. Use the church as their feeding stock. And, of course, the chorister would believe that Lasombra is trying to corrupt the people, even though he espoused his manifesto about this jihad against the demons that are the antediluvians. So that'd be like a weird conflict to put a celestial chorus member. Like, yeah, he's really good at bringing people into the church, but he's also using them as feeding stock. But also he's, opened my eyes to this, problem about the antediluvians, who might be an even bigger problem than him,
Yeah.
I think that'd be an interesting story there too.
Vampires. Well, there is a lot you could do with vampires, more than you can with werewolf, I would say.
Oh,
As
yes.
Johnny said, Cain and Abel in this setting do exist. There is a direct tie to God there, and so the Celestial Chorus would probably, if not kill them on sight, try to redeem the more human vampires, the ones with high humanity, maybe like 7 or up. I could probably see them being big fans of the Salubri, since they're more
Or
healers, and Salak
also-
is.
Also, maybe they can help reach Golconda, which they also
Indeed.
can revere as coming back to the god,
Yes.
essentially.
I could see a Celestial Courser meeting Saulat, even if he is a giant, sticky maggot person right now. But
Well, no, I
learning
thought
about
he peeled
Golconda-
himself a body out of Zamichi. Or not Zamichi. Who was it?
It depends on the Gehenna scenario. I'm gonna say this.
But
Yep.
But yeah, I could see a Celestial Courser learning about Golconda, start to spread that around, and probably start a different sub-faction of Celestial Choristers that want to redeem vampires.
That
Yeah.
that in of itself would be really neat.
As well, what about Middle East? We have Assemites and Celestial Chorus working together.
Yeah, I could probably
Because-
see that.
Yeah, because there are Muslim members of the chorus,
Yes.
and knowing Asimat / Banu Hakim, they are very Muslim in modern nights. So
Last I checked,
they
there was
would-
a schism going from the traditional followers of Hakim
Yeah,
and
that-
the actual
the
Muslims.
Assemites, yes.
Assemites and Banu
Assemites.
Hakim are two different factions technically, but they have the same origins.
Yeah, but
So I'm saying, like, in Assemites, but in modern nights, Banu Hakim, they have many in common, especially killing vampires.
oh yeah.
Yep, that'd actually be. I love unlikely alliances like that. Like, I love when, vampires and werewolves do work together. Like, that's why I love Vancouver Dark Alliance. So, like, having Rage Across Egypt, where you get an Islamist celestial chorister to work with a
Silent Strider, we know you think Silent Strider.
that'd be a friggin' potent combination. A Rokea, Silent Strider, a Celestial Chorister, and an Assamite.
Yeah. All joining
Yeah.
forces to beat the shit out of a Nafandi.
That'd be awesome.
No, the enemy is Nafandi and Setites. Just to make
Absolutely.
the stakes higher.
Two of the factions that deserve it the most.
Yeah, I would say yeah. What we have next? The mage. We'll talk about mage.
I guess
Wraith.
Changeling. Oh, Wraith.
Yeah, why not Wraith? I know little about Changeling. I'm giving it to the last place. Changeling. I don't like Changeling. Wraith. Try to do the Silent Strider job and try to make the spirits go to the past. No, not the past. To ascend to heaven.
Yes.
I think that's the thing.
I mean, that's pretty much the goal for the all of Wraith. Just try to move on with your unlife. And
Yep.
Go to whatever's beyond that.
Or we did say like a Celestial Chorister and a Silent Strider. The Celestial Chorister would try to convince the spirit to ascend to heaven, while the Silent Strider would attempt to help the spirit with its worldly
Worldly issues.
issues. and the two would be a direct conflict there over like what is the way for this spirit to move on.
Yeah, Celestial Chorus, you go to heaven. With Silent Strider, you reincarnate.
And the Euthanatoid goes, well, better luck next time. Cuts the cords, they just send him down to oblivion.
I mean, not the Wraith maybe, but Spectre dying. Yeah.
But there is one other idea I had for Wraith.
Oh,
I would
tell
see
me.
that a Celestial Chorister, with their power of Prime, would see the great maelstroms that these guys have to deal with. Like, shit, you guys have it pretty tough even here. So they would probably try to reinforce Stygia, try and make it easier to weather the storms, the hurricanes that come down there. Kind of less helping them move on, but at least trying to make their unlife a little easier, so they don't have to worry about getting soul forged.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that would be neat. Very neat. Yeah.
Yeah, I
What
think
about Changeling? Oh, Kelly had idea?
no, Changeling's a hard one because Changelings hate the fuck out of the Celestials because they introduced God and ruined the mythology that granted them all of their
Hashtag God, hashtag banality.
exactly. It ruined them. So I'm willing to bet that any any fairy would try to sabotage the Celestial Chorister as much as humanly possible, as an eye for an eye measure, especially she. She themselves would have a huge beef with the Celestial Chorus. Like, we were the rulers of this domain. We had, the Puka as the pagan gods over here. We had, the Red Caps as the blistering winter. We had, the Slua as those that would punish the wicked. We had everything, and you fucked it all up. This is war.
But also, on the other hand, there are Issue, and there are missionaries.
That's
And they
true.
both can share stories as well. Or one of the, or both of them are sharing very long journey and conversation with it.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's an odd thing. I mean, like, if an issue were a missionary, would they derive the same amount of glamour from spreading stories of God than it would about spreading stories of mythology?
Depends, I think, about storytelling. A storyteller.
I guess,
In
yeah.
general,
That's a hard one.
You're not also telling stories about God, but also about your journey.
That's true. That's true.
Yeah, I could probably see that with the issue at the very least. I could maybe see that one character I made for the world-weary priest who's seen it all, done it all, talking with an issue, just comparing notes like, damn, that's rough, buddy. Have one on me. But the other ones, that's gonna be tough, if
I'm
not
gonna say-
antagonistic.
Bro, I'm gonna say this: Crusades fed Red Cups.
Oh, absolutely.
Crusades fed Red Cups. I think Red Cups look at the chorus now. It's like, you were so cool back then. Why did you make yourself look so bad? Come on, go back to the old days. Old Testament gods. Here we go, buddy. Make the blood rain.
Yep. It was like,
Or-
we get to kill shit and get paid to do it? Fuck yes.
Yeah,
There's
and
one
as well,
other kith that I could see
Yes.
wanting to do with the Celestial Chorus. That would be the Slua. I don't know.
Yes, I would bring them because the scary stories about, I don't know, witch hunting would give them
Oh, yeah.
a little bit glamour.
But also stories about how the Slua would hunt down the corrupt priests and the nobles who just fed on the misery of everyone using the word of God. I could probably see someone who looks at do not take the Lord's name in vain very seriously, and maybe finding
yeah.
some Celestial Choristers who feel the same way and go, let's go fuck some shit up.
Oh, yeah. Absolutely.
Or Slua misjudging one of the members of the Celestial Chorus and fighting him.
Exactly. And maybe that celestial chorus makes a long-lived friend that gives him all his spoiled food because we're weird that way.
Yeah.
So,
I think the next is very simple.
Yeah.
Demon the Fallen.
now fuck them all.
God. Yeah.
Yeah.
It doesn't
There was
matter.
specific-
You have
yeah.
a deal to make. Firebomb. You want to make this into Lucifer's Playhouse? Fireball. You want to tell me a riddle? Fireball.
Yeah. I mean, literally, there's faction fighting them all at once. I mean, you, as a Celestial Chorus, as an Archmage of Sister Gabriela, you are Doom Guy. You
Yep.
will try to get into the abyss. It's very hard to get though, and only after the Avatar Storm, they are here from the abyss. But also they are earthbounds. So imagine, yeah, you like visit the castle and you see like group of 15 women going into Carpathian Mountains and like that's weird. And then through the grapevine you hear Kupala is fucking dead.
Oh my god, dude! If I were as a Meechin and I saw that, and I'm like, fresh meat. They what?
Yeah, it's like 15 women like, oh, how nice that the werewolf's gonna kill them.
Yep.
Whatever.
It's like,
2 days later, Kupala is dead. What the fuck?
Exactly.
I mean, yeah. Because they are very much in Umbra. They don't. I think they don't know about how much Earthbound there is on Earth. But if they find out and they mobilize, oh my god. So help God these poor creatures because women are scary.
yeah. They killed Kupala.
I beg your pardon.
Exactly.
Oh shit.
Do we have any games that are relevant? Hell, sorry, Daddy.
I know
we
there's
got-
the movie
we- I-
Constantine. I get. Well, no, he's more a hunter than he is a.
No,
I don't
he's.
know.
I think Constantine would be the sorcerer.
Constantine is a mage, like hardcore mage.
Is he?
Like if we're talking the DC
I mean-
comic one.
No,
Yeah.
the movie one. Because DC Comics is a mage,
Oh.
but the movie one, I think, is some more sorcery. With the Keanu Reeves. Am I right?
I think that is. Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I'm I'm having a hard time thinking of like good examples of.
I mean,
this.
we hit 3 hour mark. I mean, we can end it here. We
Yeah.
don't gonna discuss Mommy. Sorry, Danny. You like this game, but we nothing about it.
But yeah. So
I mean-
Celeste, yes. What's up?
Mummies, maybe they're kind of their own deal, but if anything, I could maybe see some of them.
They
maybe-
raise from the dead. They define God. They reincarnate like werewolves killed.
Yeah, but I could probably see them since they're not innately evil. Maybe you could probably learn a couple things or two from the mummies. Maybe they'll teach you something you didn't know. Fill in some blanks of history. You never know with them, but they're so few and far between that finding one is tantamount to finding a needle in a haystack.
I think if a celestial chorister were to interact with a mummy, I think that would have to be the catalyst for a game. It would have to be some like the celestial chorister is trying to think of something that they're missing in maybe like a tome or ancient text or something to connect the dots on some mystery that they've been working on. And then they meet a mummy just completely at a happenstance. This mummy goes, "Oh, you're researching this? Oh, well, I know where that is." You do? Yeah, it's right over there. I think maybe it got taken by this king sometime in 1435, but that's probably a good place to start. And then that sets you off on this whole whirlwind adventure, you know?
Or simply, Mommy goes to the chantry and says, the demon's gonna kill me, or not the demon, but still, something's here gonna kill me. Please save me, guys. I'm gonna
The
give you
mummy who
something.
trapped a demon and finds out that the trap is still there, but it's weakening, so he goes to like someone who can help with that.
Yeah, guys, there is another airbound. Please help.
Yes. So, in conclusion, the Celestial Chorus, beautiful faction, fucking phenomenal.
Great
Yes.
faction.
I
8 out
I
of
didn't-
10. Has some,
As a Christian channel, we approve.
yes.
a Christian channel and the one Jew that's one of the main hosts.
We'll hide
I
them.
mean, I mean
Yeah,
Christianity
Baruch
comes from
Hashem.
Hebrew. Comes from Hebrew, so
That's
it's
true.
a
That's
pass.
true. We did talk about Moses in the book, so
Yeah,
we're all good.
All right.
you
Yeah.
get the pass.
Make a chorister. They're cool.
Yeah.
All right. So,
Alright.
good night, everybody.
So take
Good
care and drink water, everybody.
Drink a lot of water.